So before we start the work, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Maliki yaumiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Amin. And thank you to Allah who have given us the chance and the time to come again for our class today. And thank you to Dr. Akhtarzaite for joining us in this morning. And as we know, we will learn with her in the same subject is the banking and financial market. Or we know that in Arabic, Muamalat, Masrafiyyah, wa Aswaq, Maliyyah. And without further ado, we invite Doctor to start the class, inshallah.
Okay, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Assalamu alaikum to everyone, and I hope everyone is in a good siha wal afiyah, inshallah. And welcome back after 1 week vacation due to something big happened in Malaysia last week. And today we are going to continue with our short sharings from me on the topic of banking and financial markets. Right? I will just share the slide first. I hope you can see the slide.
Yeah, Doctor.
Okay, all right. I will try to do the slideshow. If the problem exists, then we couldn't do the slideshow to make it bigger. But we try first. But if something a problem happen, then you tell me, right?
Okay,
Okay.
Doctor.
All right. Our topic is banking and financial market. Just to recap what we have done so far and what we are going to do. These are the general outlines for this subject. We have done the week 1 introduction to banking and financial market, functions and function of Islamic banking and underlying principles. Second week we did Islamic deposits and investment accounts, and last session we did Islamic financial products. Okay, for this week I'm going to focus on two subtopics altogether, because we last time we we need to combine between week 4 and week 5, so that next week inshallah, the final week, we will do the Islamic debt market. So for today we will cover the introduction to financial markets. We have done so far with the banking side. So as we know that we have two parts, banking side and the financial market side, right? So we have done with the banking all the examples of some of the examples of the main product from the banking side. Now we move to the financial market side, right? So we will do some introduction to what is actually financial markets and the components, right? And what the functions of financial markets, particularly the capital market, right? Underlying principle, I think the same underlying principle like in the banking as well. So meaning to say that the underlying principle, the Sharia principles, no riba, no gharar, no maisir, for example, and all the products will be based on the contracts, right? Islamic permissible contracts. So that has been covered under the banking side. So the same principles also applies here. So the big part of it today is we will zoom into the Islamic equity market. Right? Islamic equity market being a type of the financial markets. So I will show you again this slide, whereby it shows the slide moving, sister. You are looking into the slide where we have the okay, alhamdulillah. So in Islamic financial service, basically we divide it into three main components, which are the Islamic banking we did last few weeks. Now we come to the Islamic financial markets. Islamic financial markets is actually wider but we are now focusing on the one part of the Islamic financial markets, because we have also the money market, for example. But now we are focusing on capital market because it is more, appealing to the general public, right? We want to know more about the capital market, right? The money market is more institutionalized, right? The institutions will deal more in the money market. But the people like us and mainly the investors, the market where we involve more is the capital market, right? So we zoom into the capital market, and we have also many segments under the capital market itself. So we have equity, we have sukuk, we have funds and unit trusts, we have REITs, we have derivatives, private equity and venture capital. These are the bulk of products which is under the Islamic capital market. So for the purpose of this course, we will focus on two only, the equity and the sukuk. So for this week, we will look into the equity. So of course, the third component is the takaful. We have the takaful and the takaful. Right. So we go straight to the Islamic, the capital market itself, because we know that as it is in banking system itself originally started in the West, of course, with their principles of giving and charging riba. So also the same also applies to the capital market. So it started within the Western riba-based markets, right? So they started that, right? So we come later introducing the alternative, the Islamic alternative to that. So now we have to understand first what capital markets mean, right? In the general meaning of capital market itself, right? So it refers to the various financial activities to raise capital. So the point here is to raise capital, right? Via or through the issuance of marketable papers of securities. So we have seen in the banking sector before that it involves bank as the financial intermediary. So the bank will be the intermediation between the one who need the fund and the one who have the surplus. And here in the capital market, it is more like direct. It's more like direct financing, whereby those who need the fund and those who have the surplus to give the fund to invest, they don't need the intermediation, but they go directly by issuing and papers or securities, right? So the things that is here in the capital market, they are basically issuing and selling and buying of securities. So what is securities? Securities is actually papers, right? But these papers is actually representing some right given to the holder of that paper, right? So we'll later on see how these papers issued and give some rights to the one who buy that paper, right? So depending on what type of paper is that, the rights also varies according to the variations of the papers issued and by and bought and sold, right? The capital market is actually the platform which provide the avenue for the investors as well as the one who need the fund. They go to the capital market in order to invest, in order, and also for those who have the surplus, and those who need the fund, they go to the capital market because they want to get fund, because they want to get maybe the capital for their business, right? So how they do about it? The activities in the capital market is by issuing papers. So for example, the one who need the fund, they will issue the paper. Right? They will issue the paper or the securities, and the one who have the money, the surplus money, they want to invest, they will buy that paper. For example, a company which need the capital for their business, they will issue shares, for example. So because they need the fund, right? So they issue the shares. So papers representing the shares of the company. So the one who have the money, they will buy that paper, right? They will buy that paper at the issuance level. When the company issue that shares, they will buy. So because they want to invest and get a profit from their investment, and not only the issuance but also marketing of the papers, as we will see later on. So basically, the securities under the capital market, they are the papers which are tradable. What does it mean by tradable? Meaning to say that after you bought the paper, you can sell in the market to another party, right? Like shares, for example, after you bought the shares at the issuance level, for example, then you somewhere down the road you need the cash, right? So you can sell that paper to another party, right? And make some profit over there, right? So that is basically the meaning of capital markets. So where it is a platform whereby the investors who have the fund and the one who need the fund have the avenue to meet in order to fulfill the needs of both of the parties, right? Okay, so it involves the issuance of securities to mobilize fund. The one who issue the securities, they want to mobilize fund, they want to raise fund. And these securities to be sold to the investors who have the money, they want to invest, they want to get profit from the investment, they will buy that securities, and these securities tradable later on. It will be tradable later on after it is the share, for example, is bought. Then the shareholder, all right, become shareholder, can sell whenever he needs the cash among the other investors. Say for example, A bought the share from the company X, right? So after later on, if A, for example, needs some cash, right? So A can sell that paper to C or B or D or whatever, whoever within the market, right? So that is the general. Oh, sorry. So generally, the capital market consists of equity. So this is a type of capital market. It is actually more than that, as we can see in the structure before. But mainly, it is equity market, debt market, and derivatives market. So for today, we will focus on equity market, right? So that is the capital market generally. Then what is Islamic capital market? So Islamic capital market, on the other hand, refers to the market, the same functions, where the activities are carried out in ways that do not conflict with the conscience of Muslims and the religion of Islam. It's the same like banking. It is also the same function, but done in a way that it does not violate the principles of Islam. All right, it does not have riba, it does not have maisir, it does not have gharar. All right, so all the prohibited elements are eliminated in the Islamic capital market. But in terms of functions, in terms of the mechanism, all right, basically will be the same like the capital market. So if we understand capital market, we can also understand Islamic capital market, for that matter. In other words, the Islamic capital market represents an assertion of religious law in the capital market transactions, where the market should be free from the involvement of prohibited elements like riba, gharar, and maisir, as I said just now. Okay, I hope the slide is moving. Then we go to the functions. Are you seeing the functions now? Sister, can we see the slide now? I hope that you are seeing the slide, sister.
No, I'm not sharing. Let me
Okay,
check.
now can you see the functions?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So what are the functions of capital market, or for that matter, Islamic capital market, both, right? So it is actually, as we said before, it is a platform to connect between the demanders of fund and suppliers of fund. Demanders mean those who deficit unit need the fund. For example, to start a business, to start a company, or to add fund to the company's activities. So they demanders or they need the fund. And suppliers of the fund are those investors who have the surplus money and want to invest and get the profit, right? So it also provides opportunities for diversification of risk. So under the capital market, the risk can be diversified because the market also very wide. You can invest in shares, you can invest in sukuk, right? Many markets we have, and also the risk also can be managed, right? If you think that there is higher risk in future, then you can sell straight away because it has the market or trading market in the capital market. So it is different from if you invest in, for example, in fixed assets, right? You buy a house in order to invest, for example, right? So all the money will go to the house only. And when you need the cash, you cannot have, sell part of the house, for example, right, to get the some cash, right? So the risk is not diversified. But over there in the capital market, the risk is diversified. One, for the reason of the wide market segments under the capital market. Also, by having the marketing or marketability or tradability in the under the capital market, right? So it facilitates also the availability of liquidity. So this is a point also, by enabling secondary trading of securities. All right. So if the how whenever we need the cash, when we need the liquidity, so we can sell the securities in the secondary market. As we said later on that under the capital market, we have the primary market and secondary market. So secondary market is where we can trade, we can buy and sell the securities and give the or get the liquidity out of the trading. And also it contributes to the economic growth. Why? Because by having these funds available for the entrepreneurs, right? So that will make them will boost the economic activities by having the companies, by having some kind of economic activities, because the fund is available, right? So it contributes very much to the academic growth. Let me pick it up here. Right. So these are other classification as we went through before. The equity market, this is the main market. Equity market, sukuk market, and hedging and derivatives market. So for today, we focus on the equity. Another classification is, primary market and secondary market. As we understand now that under the capital market, the activities is buying and selling of the securities, papers, which represent certain rights and obligation, represented to the by the papers, representing the rights and obligation of the parties, right? So here we can divide into the markets in the capital market. We can divide into primary market and secondary market. What is the difference between the two? Primary market is where the securities were first issued. For example, a company want to set up their company, so they need fund. Right? So they need a fund in order to start the business, to start the company. All right, public company, for example, right? So they issue shares for the first time, right? So in order to set up the company, they need, for example, 1 million, just for the purpose of example. Of course, you cannot set up a company by 1 million, too small. But for the sake of example, right? Say, for example, this company need 1 million to start the business, to initiate the company. So they issue shares, right? So where the shares firstly issued, that is primary market, right? When it is issued for the first time, that is the primary market. So after that, and all the shares sold, for example, right? All the shares sold, for example, all the 1 million shares has been subscribed, right? So they get the fund. I mean to say that, for example, just to give you a clear picture, they need the fund 1 million, right? So this 1 million will be divided into units, right? Say, for example, into 1 million units, meaning to say that one unit represent 1 ringgit, one ringgit, because it is 1 million ringgit. So they will issue shares, for example, 1 million units. One unit represent 1 ringgit. So it will be sold to the market. Who want to buy the shares? 1 unit is 1 ringgit, right? So when they sold all the papers, so meaning to say that each papers represent 1 ringgit, right? Right over the company in 1 ringgit, right? So then, for example, A, for the sake of example, bought 10% of the shares of this company. Meaning to say that he bought 100,000 shares of this company, 100 ringgit, right? Because 1 unit represent 1 ringgit, right? Just for the sake of example, right? So meaning to say A hold the shares of this company, become the shareholder of this company, 10% of this company. So he own 10% of this company, right? Because he is shareholder of that company up to 10%, right? So now he is the customer or the shareholder, whereby he bought the shares in the primary market. So later on, A can go to the secondary market. Secondary market means trading of the issued securities. Meaning to say that the buying and selling. The word trading here is buying and selling, right? So the secondary market, in the secondary market, if A, for example, need cash, so he can sell his shares or part of it, right? He can sell his shares or part of it to the secondary market. So the secondary market are people who are, or another investors who waiting to buy the shares. So for example, if the shares is listed in the bursa, for instance, then we know the price of the shares. It can moving, it can be up, it can be down, right? So that is the trading of the issued securities. So we have primary market and secondary market. So that's how the capital market give avenue for the liquidity management and also the diversification of the risk, right? Okay, now after we have understood the capital market, the meaning, the functions, right? The main classification. Now we go zoom in into the Islamic equity market being part of one segment of the Islamic capital market, right? So it is equity market. So equity basically represent ownership, right? Basically it is representing shares, right? Shares is part of the equity market, right? Uh, so we actually when we talk about Islamic equity market, we are talking actually about shares or stock, right? Investment in shares or stock, right? The word shares and the stock is the same meaning, right? So we go through this side in order to understand what is actually the investment in equity market, right? So modern companies are mostly incorporated companies, companies which offer limited liability to the shareholders, right? So most of the companies, they are public companies or incorporated companies. They offer limited liability to the shareholders, right? So one of the features of the shares, right, that the liability of the shareholders are different from the liability of the company, right? So this is what we call the separate legal entity. Later on, we will talk about it, right? So these are basically the modern companies. So they will offer to the public to participate in their investment in their company, all right, giving the limited liability to the shareholders, right? The company divides its assets into undivided units that investors can buy. So as I said before, say for example, at the beginning, they will issue first, right? Depending on the regulations in certain countries, they will issue first what we call the IPO, initial public offering. We need to offer to the public, I'm opening this company, you want to join me in this company in order to generate capital in this company, then we will share the profit. That for easy understanding, as if that is the situation, right? So the company then divides its asset or its capital into undivided units, right? That investors can buy. So this unit must be equal value, right? If 1 ringgit per shares, meaning all the shares within that company will be the same value. It cannot be that one unit is 1 ringgit, another unit is 1 ringgit and 20 cents, no, right? The unit at the issuance level will be, all units always be equal value, right? So it is divided into units that investors can buy. A share is actually a security which represents a portion of the owner's capital in a business. So if you buy a share, the paper that you get by buying the shares represent your rights. You are the owner of the capital in that business. So a share is actually representing ownership over the company. So A, for example, in our example before, A bought 10% of the shares in the company, meaning A is actually owner of the company up to 10%, right? So the liability also up to 10%. If, for example, the company have a debt later on, the A being a shareholder of 10% of the company, only liable on up to 10% of the overall debt of the company, right? So that is the meaning also the limited liability of the shareholders. So the concept of limited liability and separate legal entity. What does it mean by separate legal entity? For example, the entity, the company itself having a separate entity, right? If a company being sued, for example, in the court, it does not involve the shareholders. It is the company itself. It is being sued. So that is the meaning of separate legal entity between the company itself and the shareholders, right?
Doctor,
Yeah.
can you put that slide to be slideshow?
Hopefully it will move because sometimes we have problem. Okay, I will put try it. If there is problem, it's not moving, then you tell me.
Yeah.
Now you're seeing the slideshow.
Yes.
Okay. So ownership of equities will often entitle the investor because you are the owner. You will be liable because as owner, you will be liable to the loss as well as eligible to get the profit. All right, al-ghunum bil-ghurum. You get the profit at the same time also you bear the loss because the company there are two possibilities: they are loss or they're making profit, right? So because you are the owner, the shareholder, they are owner of the company, so you bear the risk and also eligible to get the profit, right? So ownership of equities will often entitle the investor to a portion of the company's profit through dividends. Usually, end of the year, the company will declare dividend, right? So the shareholders will get their, because they are the owner, they eligible to get the profit, right? Profit through the dividends paid to the shareholders and bearing the loss as well if the company fails, right? So that is the rules of the owner or the equity, right? It is high risk, high return, right? So it always said that investment in equity is high risk and high return. The shares can be traded. So this is that we said before. The shares can be traded at the secondary market, meaning after you bought the shares, it doesn't mean that you have to hold forever. All right. You can, if you think that this company is not making profit more, the profit is not very good, you can sell in the secondary market, right? The price also will be varies according to the performance of the company at the price quoted on the stock market, right? It can be up, it can be down. The shareholders have control over the management of the business because they are the owner. So they have the control of the management of the business. They can attend the AGM, for example, and appoint who will be the CEO, who will be the management officers, for example, for that company, and therefore are responsible for the conduct of the company, right? But as a in a limited liability. All right. Are you saying types of shares now? Can you see the slide? Types of shares, sister?
Yeah, doctor, can see.
Okay, all right. Types of shares. Shares can be basically divided into ordinary shares, all right, and preference shares, right? So what are the differences between these two? Ordinary shares are ordinary shares. As the features that we said just now, it represent the undivided ownership by a shareholder in the business, right? No capital or profit guarantee. You have profit. If there is profit, you get profit, right? If you don't have profit, then there is no guarantee, right? Also, the capital itself is not guaranteed. I mean, of course, the profit also not guaranteed. It can be the occurrence of loss. Highest risk as dividend payment only after obligations to creditors and preference as shareholders are made, right? It is highest risk because you making as the shareholders, you will get your dividend payment only after the obligations or the payment to the creditors has been settled, right? And payment to the preference shares, which we will look at later on, also make. Then only the ordinary shareholders will take their rights over the dividend. Give right to vote in the AGM. So this is the rights of the ordinary shareholders. They can vote in the AGM, annual general meeting, for example, to appoint the CEO, to change the nature of business of the company, or something related to the day-to-day business of the company. Because you are the owner, you have the right to vote in the running of the company, right? Preference shares, on the other hand, they are shares which give additional rights over and above the ordinary shares. So preference shares, they have priority over the ordinary shares, right? So because of that, it combines the features of equity and debt in the capital market, right? Meaning to say that equity, as we know, but debt has the element of fixed payment, right? So it allows them to receive fixed dividends, unlike the ordinary shareholders, right? Say for example, whatever happened, they will receive 5% of their profit realized by the company. Treated in preference, right? It is also treated in preference or given the priority over ordinary shareholders at 2 points. One is upon the dividend payment, so they will get first. The leftover will be given to the ordinary shareholders, and also at the time of the winding up of the company. At the end, where the company went bankrupt, for example, right? So when the company went bankrupt, all the asset of the company will be sold, right? So uh, the priority of payment from the proceed of the sale of the company's asset will be used to pay the creditors first. Then will be given to the preference shareholders. Then if it is still any, then only be given to the ordinary shareholders. So they have preference, or they have priority, special rights at 2 points: at dividend payment, as well as the upon the winding up of the company. They will get first the payment, right? So what is the hukum, legitimacy of issuance and trading of shares? Whether issuance of shares is permissible first, and whether trading after it has been issued, can it be traded in the secondary market? And so that is the issue now. So for the issuance of shares, we have the fatwa by OIC Islamic Fiqh Academy approve the concept of joint stock, right, of the joint company, joint syarikat al-musahamah, right? There is no objection in syarikah for setting up a company whose liability is limited to its capital, right? So if your capital is 10%, then your liability over the company is only up to 10%, right? So fatwa by OIC, Majma' al-Fiqhi, they approve that concept of issuance of shares. The concept is similar to musyarakah because everyone is combining their capital in order to set up a company. All right, so it is a kind of musyarakah, even though it is in the modern form, right? Or partnership among all the shareholders for a profitable venture. So basically, shares here we mean ordinary shares, right? Ordinary shares is permissible, and it can be said that it is actually by ittifaq, or by the agreement of majority of the scholars. Also, it become later on become a fatwa which has been applied by all the Muslim over the world, all over the world, right? So basically, ordinary shares is permissible. What about trading of shares? After you bought the shares, can you sell to the market? What is the takif then here? What is actually happening to the musyarakah when somebody sell the shares to another party, right? Does it affect the legitimacy of the musyarakah? If one of the parties terminate by selling that to another parties, does it affect the musyarakah which has been entered into between all the parties? So trading of shares means it's sale to a third party. As the shareholders are owners of the company in proportion of his shares, he has the right to sell it to the other party because that is his right, right? So he can sell to anyone he wants. Issue here, whether the withdrawal of one of the partners by selling, right, will terminate the whole partnership, right? Because one of the parties has terminated the musyarakah. Does it also involve the termination of the whole musyarakah, right? So the contemporary scholars views that this requirement is not applicable in the context of shares. So it can still remain, but the termination only in respect of the one who sell the shares. So he's bringing also a new shareholders. So the new shareholders will become the new musyarik, right, in that particular company, right? So basically, for the ordinary shares, there's no problem, whether issuance or trading, right? But the problem is with the preference shareholders. All right. Okay. What is the hukum of preference shares? We know that the preference shareholders, they have more rights. Firstly, they have sometimes they have a fixed dividend payment. And also they will get first, will be paid first compared to the ordinary shareholders, right? And also at the winding up the company, they will take first. So they are very much preferred, very much having the priority, right? So it is called in Arabic ashum mumtazah or mufaddalah, right? Because they have more rights over the ordinary shareholders, right? For the hukum of preference shares, right? The jumhur of the scholars, contemporary scholars, they said it is not permissible. Right? They said it is not permissible. Except we have in Malaysia a fatwa issued by Securities Commission, the Sharia Advisory Council of Securities Commission of Malaysia. They allow the preferences, right? For the due to the basis that according to them, right? So the SSC has resolved that preferences are classified as Sharia compliant securities with certain condition. So they mention the condition here. Mean to say the underlying state shares are classified as Sharia compliant securities. As the company itself is Sharia compliant, and the securities, the overall is actually Sharia compliant, right? The preferences are non-cumulative, meaning to say that not all types, because preferences we have many types, right? Basically, some of them are cumulative preferences and non-cumulative preferences. What does it mean by cumulative and non-cumulative? Cumulative means that the preference shareholders not only have the rights over the dividend declared for that particular year, he also have the rights over the undeclared dividend for the last year, for example. Meaning to say they have also, it will be accumulated for this year and last year, because they don't get last year, so they will be given this year and they will pay in arrears. Meaning to say they accumulated. So non-cumulative means no, you will be paid for that particular year only, right? So for SC Malaysia, when they approve preferences, only for non-cumulative. And also it must be endorsed by SAC, because they need to have certain requirements to be fulfilled. I mean, when they allow, they are not allow that just like that. It is not permissible mutlaqan. It has certain dawabit, certain condition, it must be fulfilled, right? But on the other hand, the majority of the scholars, the GCC countries, right? For example, in IOFI, right? IOFI in Bahrain, and Majma' Fiqhi, Islamic Academy in Jeddah, all of them issued by saying that preference shares are not permissible because it violates the rules of musyarakah. Under the musyarakah, you will be share the same profit, the same loss, right? We cannot that we give more preference to another, some of the musyarikin, and another musyarikin we get lesser. Cannot. They must be treated equal, right? Mainly because it violates the principle of musyarakah, and also when you give them the fixed profit, it is some kind of riba, because you give money and get more money without bearing the loss, right? So that is actually riba. Therefore, the majority of scholars said it is not permissible to issue preference shares, priority shares, which are stocks that have special financial features that give them priority at the date of company liquidation or on the date of distribution of profit. So they said that it is not permissible, right? So this actual fatwa is from IOFI. Majma' also more or less have the same fatwa, meaning to say that they disallowed, right? So in Malaysia, we say we allow certain type of the preference shares with certain condition, right? On the basis of tanazul. What does it mean by tanazul? There is, before they allow the preference shares, they must have the agreement from the ordinary shareholders. They will be tanazul from, they will give the waiver to their rights in the AGM, right? So that is the basis where we coming from in Malaysia. We said that permissibility of preference shares. The main issues in the share trading, right? So even though basically we said that it is permissible, but there are certain issues in the trading of the shares. The first one is knowledge of the subject matter of the sale, because as we know that in a sale, we must know, the buyer and the seller must know exactly what is actually the subject matter of the sale before they can sell, right? The subject matter of the sale is in shares is represent all available assets of the company. So at a point of time, at any point of time, the asset of the company can represent many things. It can be representing cash, it can be representing a'yan, meaning the fixed asset, it can representing debt as well. So we don't know. We don't know what we are selling actually, right? Because we are selling the paper which representing the right of the company. The right of the company, where is? We don't know in detail. But requirement for the subject matter to be known at the point of sale. But the scholar says that even though it is not known in detail, the general information is available in the report published by the company. right? Basically, we know about the asset of the company, even though we did not know in detail what is how much cash, how much what are the fixed asset of the company. But basically, it is known, and the information is made available in the report by the company. So that is sufficient to make that to fulfill the requirements of the contract. Cash and receivable, as we know that sometimes the company will have the cash with them, right? So when you sell your shares, and this shares representing also partially this cash, so you are selling cash, right? I mean, muqabil cash, cash versus cash. So cash versus cash, it will be under the rule of sarf, whereby equal value, which is not happening here, right? So here also, there's certain problem in share trading. Indebtedness also, the dine, and the company may have some dine, right? Some debts due on the company or due to the company, right? So it will have the problem when you sell your shares, you are partially selling the debt, for example. So that will be under the ruling of buy dine, right? Buy dine, which is the majority of scholars again says that buy dine is not permissible, right? So that are some of the issues in the share trading. Next, we go to the screening methodology. What does it mean by screening methodology? So in our current modern time, when we have a company, it is quite difficult to find a company whereby the business is 100% A to Z Sharia compliant, right? We can take example of a company, for example, right? A company, a big supermarket, for example, Lotus, for example, Lotus supermarket, a big supermarket, right? So their business is okay, buying and selling goods, groceries, and the basic needs of the people. The business is okay, but they have at the same time small section selling liquor, right? By having this, do we consider the whole shares of this supermarket shares company, right? Not permissible because having this small section of non-compliant business, right? So if you want to tolerate this, because it is quite difficult to find a company which 100% Sharia compliant, right? So what is the methodology to ascertain whether this company is acceptable or not, right? So thus we need the screening methodology to screen out which company, how far we tolerate with the non-Sharia compliant business, right? Since your participation in the stock market means ownership, because when we buy the shares, we become the owner. So we must be very careful. We only buy shares which is Sharia compliant. So therefore, the status of the company to determine whether the company is Sharia compliant or not, known as stock selection or stock screening process. So the main criteria for screening, when we look into to screen whether this Sharia compliant or not, we look into the sector screening or the nashatat or the business activities of the company. All right, sector screening, right? If the business of the company non-Sharia compliant, then it is not Sharia compliant. The whole stock will be non-Sharia compliant. We look into the financial, right? We look into the financial screening of the company, right? Remember, we have the issue of buying dine and buying surf, right? So therefore, if the company having cash, when we sell the shares, we are actually selling partially cash. So therefore, we must sell. In the equal value, all right. But that is not happening in the selling of the shares. Usually, it will be, will be sell if it is a certain increment or certain return over there, right? So therefore, we look into two segments. Why we need stock screening? To facilitate investors seeking investment in Sharia approved securities listed on the exchange, disclosure and transparency, as well as to determine Sharia tolerance level in Islamic stocks. How much we have the tolerance on some of the element which is seem not compliant to the Sharia, right? Okay, so the status of the companies, we look into the companies. Primary activities are non-halal. We take the extreme example, for example, Carlsberg, right? Of course, their stock is not Sharia compliant because their business are non-compliant, so their stock also non-compliant, non-Sharia compliant, right? Not approved, right? On the other hand, no non-halal activities, right? So all the activities are okay. For example, the telcos, right? The telcos, their business are halal basically, right? So that will be approved, no problem. Their shares will be Sharia compliant. But the problem is with mixed companies, right? So it needs further scrutiny, right? So how far we have Sharia non-activity, Sharia non-compliant activities that we are can be tolerated. If it can be tolerated, then we accept their shares to be Sharia compliant. So if their element of non-compliant is not tolerable, so we reject the whole shares of the company. So that is basically the idea, right? So screening methodology, worldwide we have a lot of institutions which offer the screening methodology. In Malaysia, we have the Securities Commission Malaysia. Worldly also, globally also we have some of the institutions offering the stock screening. Meaning to say that they do the screening, at the end they come out with the listing. These are the companies that Sharia compliant, so that Muslim investors can buy, right? So they analyze non-compliant business activities, they look into the sector. There are two approaches. Sector code. If any involvement in Sharia non-compliant activity, they will exclude. This is quite extreme, right? Approach 2, which is applies to Securities Commission of Malaysia and also Dow Jones Islamic Index, MSCI, Morgan Stanley, Capital Investment, right? They have a tolerance level, the 5% tolerance level and 20% tolerance level in Malaysia only. The 5% globally. If we have 5% non-Sharia compliant, we will, more than 5%, we will reject. Below 5%, still acceptable, right? They will look into also the financial screening. They look into the financial aspects of a company. The liquid asset, the cash, meaning cash and interest-bearing securities, not more than 33%, sulus, or 1/3, right? Account receivables also 1/3. Debt also 1/3, right? So more than 1/3, then will be excluded from the Sharia compliant list. For ST of, okay. Yes.
Because we already past
Okay.
3 minutes.
I stop here. Maybe inshallah, because I'm combining 2 weeks all in one session. So I think the remaining I will forward to the next week inshallah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Inshallah. Thank you very much, Doctor. And sorry to disturb in the middle
okay,
of
no
the slide.
No problem.
Thank you to you, and may Allah bless you, and hopefully all the knowledge that you have given be manfaat inshallah to all the student who study, who stay in our class today.
Hopefully, inshallah.
Yeah, Amin. So, and have a nice weekend, Doctor.
Yeah. Thank you.
And we have a long weekend.
No time for Q&A.
Because after this, Prof.
No problem.
Abdulhamid.
No problem. We
Yeah.
save the questions for next week, inshallah.
Inshallah.
If we have time, right? Thank you very much, everyone, for your listening, for your patience with me. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you, Doctor. And after this, we will meet with Prof. Abdulhamid. Prof. Abdulhamid Ali Zaroum.
Assalamualaikum. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Doctor. Sorry, Prof, for the time, because inshallah you can take extra 5 minutes more for to the end, inshallah. And also we will study with Prof in the same subject, the contemporary justice issue, Qadaya, Fiqhiyyah, asirah, inshallah, with Prof. Abdulhamid Muhammad Ali Zaroum. Inshallah, without further ado, falyatafaddal maskura, Prof.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wassalatu afdaluha wa taslim wa atammu ala rahmatil muhdati wa ni'matil musdati Muhammadin ibn Abdullah al-Bashir al-Nadhir al-Siraj al-Munir al-Mab'uth rahmatan lil alamin. Amma ba'd. Once again, assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullah. Prof, for the you doesn't open the video or how? Because here we doesn't see you, but we see the slide.
Okay, maybe the camera is not on. Now you see me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, alhamdulillah. So from here, inshallah, we go to the slides quickly. Today's topic, inshallah, will be about some other new issues. One of them might be the continuation of what we have started last time, the medical issues from the fiqh perspective. So in this regard, inshallah, today I will share with you something about organ donation and also organ transplantation.
Prof, can you open the slideshow?
Slides are not open.
Slideshow.
Okay. Now you see them?
I think slideshow in the, yeah, can see.
Okay. Oh, when discussing this issue, you might have in your mind the problem of whether my body belongs to me or not. Is it Allah's property or my property? Do a human being have the right to change or sell or exchange or terminate their lives? These are issues that will always be in your mind. As one of your colleagues last time asked me, one of the participants, how we treat ourselves, our bodies. If something that is mine belongs to me, so I have the right, the full right to do anything to it or with it. But if it does not belong to me, then anything that does not belong to me, I have no right to change it or to damage it or to use it or to abuse it. So this is very clear from the beginning. Now, if I am donating my organs or part of my body, then I am doing it for the sake of Allah and for the sake of helping a needy person. So darura is always there. If there is no necessity, I should not donate my organ. I should not allow doctors to transplant an organ into my body because I am in need of it. So this is first and foremost. The reason why we have to permit people to donate their bodies, their organs, or we permit them in Islam to undergo surgery so that an organ will be transplanted into their bodies. Okay, so first and foremost, as we see here, many of the scholars are in favor of doing it because it is a darura. But if it is blood, all of them agreed. Okay, all of them agreed that we donate our blood. In fact, even scientifically proven nowadays, you have to donate your blood so you will have fresh blood. You will renew your blood, so it is good for your system. The body needs to refresh from time to time, as you need to get fresh air. You need to, even in terms of salawat, dhikr, you have to take rest so that you get You will not get tired, exhausted. So the blood needs to be changed. So you go and donate your blood. Absolutely, it is permissible in Islam. Whether for Muslims, non-Muslims. But if this person that to whom I am donating my blood, if he is a harbi, kafir harbi, he is not a Muslim, he's a non-Muslim. But he used his body, his weapons, his property, his wealth to fight Muslims. So I should not strengthen this person to attack Muslims, to destroy Muslims. So one scholar said to donate blood to a person who is a non-Muslim, who is a fighter, who is a combatant, who combats us, who fights us. We should not donate the blood to him, but others, no problem. Now, if we are done with donation of blood, now we come to donation of organs. Here we have two types. You donate your organs while you are still alive. Another one is donate your organs after your death. You write your will, say, after I die, I would like to donate my kidneys, for instance, my hands, and so on and so forth. So we have another issue here. Who should donate the body, the organs of a dead person? The family, or he's supposed to write before he died something that he allows doctors, allows the people to take his parts after he dies. Okay, so if it is an organ donation while you're still alive, the majority of scholars are in favor of it with certain conditions. We'll mention inshallah after a while. Some others said it is not permissible because your body doesn't belong to you. So how come you donate something that is not yours? But surely to sell it is haram. To sell your organs, to make profit out of it is haram. So remember again and again, in this course we are talking about fiqh perspective. In all the courses, okay, talking about Islamic perspective. Organ donation, if it is for sale, it is not permissible, it is prohibited. Now after death, those who are in favor of, if the opinion of the scholars is that we should not donate our organs while we are alive, of course, after you die, will be worse. So they are not permitting, okay, people to donate their organs after death as well. But others who I have just shared with you that for them it is okay to sell as long as you are not, okay, harming yourself. It is not for sale, and the other condition, inshallah, we'll mention after a while. So in this case, for them it is permissible. What about fetus or embryo or babies who have already died inside the womb of the mothers? Because sometimes if the woman is still alive, but because of a reason or another, she had to do, for instance, what you call abortion, miscarriage. So if we can use that fetus, that embryo, that incomplete baby to be donated, it is okay. But how if the mother dies? So we need to save the baby, isn't it? So here now, as if we are sacrificing the mother because she has already died to save the baby. So how you, what you call donate organs, this is another big issue among scholars. It's a very controversial issue and very complicated somehow. Now, those who are in favor of it and why should we donate and why is it permissible or prohibited? They said, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. the famous ayah in Surah Al-Isra, verse 70, talking about dignity of human being. So how come you sell organs? Cannot sell. So the same should be applied to donation. If I am not permitted in Islam to sell my organs, whether while I'm still alive or after I die, I should not allow others to give me their organs, and I should not also allow people to take my organs. So donation or sale, both are not permitted. Why? Because وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. But in contrast, those who are saying it is permitted, also they are depending on another ayah in Surah Al-Ma'idah, verse 32. وَمَنْ أَحْيَاهَا فَكَأَنَّمَا أَحْيَا النَّاسَ جَمِيعًا. The person who saved life, as if he is saving the entire humanity. It would be as if he has saved the lives of all mankind. And it is also part of charity, sadaqah jariyah. Imagine when you donate your organs and this person is benefiting from it. And how if this person lives longer life? He has his own offspring, generations after generations. And so you have saved him. Because you have two kidneys, you gave one of your kidneys to him. So it is a charity, or a sort of charity, sadaqah. And here also talking about al-darura, and that is why you are giving it. You don't kill yourself to save others. But if you can save others while you're still alive, not harming yourself, no problem. And also to choose the lesser evil in order to avoid the greater evil, as I mentioned last time. And also Prof. Amanullah, I guess, discussed with you this in the legal maxims, al-Qawaid al-Fiqhiyyah, irtikab akhaf ad-dararain. So what is akhaf ad-dararain? If you don't give this person your kidney, he might or she might die. So we are committing now the lesser crime, the lesser evil, that is to give my organ to avoid the greater evil, that is the death of that person. So selling and exchanging is totally prohibited. I cannot sell my organs and I cannot exchange. My hands are not beautiful, not strong, so I exchange with you. Give me money, I give you my organ. That is totally prohibited. Okay, so the conditions, as you see here, is not for sale, not for exchange, and you cannot donate your reproductive organs. The private parts, the reproductive organs should not be donated. Now, why it is permissible to transplant or donate an organ? Because of the necessity. So what do you mean by transplanting? Taking an organ from a person and put it into another person. Okay? Here we have a few items. It is to remove a deformity that is causing the person psychologically or physically, this person is going to be harmed. He's facing problems. So in order for him to remove the psychological or physical pain he is encountering, we donate our organs to him, or we transplant organs to this body. So it is permissible to transplant an organ to a person, into a person, but this organ should be renews itself. They grow by themselves automatically, like your blood. You donate your blood because you will have blood again, isn't it? You can't give all your blood, otherwise you are going to be, you will die. So you don't give all your blood, but you donate portion of it to save others. So your blood will be renewed. تجديد الدم. لذلك, that is why when you donate something that renews itself. Also, the skin. If you donate the skin will grow up, renew. It's not like heart, okay, or your eye. You can't give your eye because you have only one eye or two eyes. Once you lost your eyes, then you can't see. You will not have eyes. They will not be renewing themselves or by themselves. It is permissible also in Islam to make use of organs that have been taken from the body of another person due to sickness. Okay, here we are talking about, again, the cornea of the eye. This guy has been sick and doctors advise him to remove his eyes. No way for him to see. The sight has gone. So the cornea, we can use it to be given to someone else, to be donated, transplanted to someone. Okay. Another issue here is it is not allowed in Islam to transplant an organ from a living person when its removal causes an essential functions to cease. Okay, the person, if he or she donates this organ, he will die. The organ will not, the body will not function. It means stop functioning. So if you are donating, you are allowed in Islam to donate only one cornea. You cannot take both corneas, because if both are taken, then that's it, isn't it? So I am imagining now one of your relatives, subhanallah, for instance, can't see at all because of dangerous sickness. So are you allowed in Islam to donate one of your organs, one of your eyes? Can you give your cornea? If you give, you might allow your mom to see back into sight, can see. But if you don't give her, she will not see. So which one is now the darura? To donate your cornea to your mom so that at least she has one cornea and you survive with one cornea, or you don't give at all. So you can't give both corneas, but to give one is logical. Okay. Now, if we move a little bit, if the organ that is removed from this person given to someone else is now after death, as you see here, from a dead person to a living person, we have to ensure this person has died, legal death. Okay, he has no breath, completely, okay, demise. And three should witness, because we are not sure. He might be in ICU. We might assume that he has died, but he has not yet died. So after we assure the person died, then the possibility of taking his organs is there. Second condition is ad-daruratul quswa. Sorry to tell you that this course, the entire course from our department, Fiqh and Usul al-Fiqh, are conducted in Arabic, offered in Arabic, with the exception of Introduction to Fiqh and Usul al-Fiqh, which are offered in both Arabic and English languages. So imagine how your lecturers are working hard to translate from the slide they have that they use in the classes in Arabic into English. So it's not that easy. Okay, so I'm just reminding you that inshallah the slides I'm using for today might be in Arabic. I will explain English, but later on inshallah I'll give you the English version of it. So you bear with me. The second condition is that there is a necessity, absolute necessity. Okay, حالة المنقول إليه المرضية is declining. The status of this person that we are donating organ to is declining, deteriorating. So there is no way for this person to survive, to keep him alive, unless we transplant into him an organ of that dead person. The third condition is he has already written his will. Also, while he's still alive, he has already gave his will. He wrote it and informed his family members, already in the know that after his death, the body will be donated to needy people. Another condition is that he is not being pressurized or forced. Voluntarily, he is giving his organs. And why we are donating it, it should not humiliate him. Even though he's a dead person, in Islam, we should dignify and honor even dead. The dead person should be dignified. So it should not be in a way that we are cutting the body into pieces. Just we take the organ that is needed to be transplanted into a living person. And of course, the reproductive organ should not be donated, because this might cause confusion in lineage. Okay. Number 5, it should be conducted via a specialized medical center. It is not done at home, ad hoc, by any people with no experience, no knowledge. It has to be done by a professional or professionals in a specialized medical center or clinic or hospital. And they have to be certified from the authority. Okay, and it is not done with money, in exchange of money. It is not for sale, as I have just shared with you. Okay, now we come to this. Now, from a living person to a living person, after we have done with the first one, from a dead person to a living person. Okay. What do you have here? Here we have again, we need to save this person. With no kidney, surely this person will die. So we donate to him or for him a kidney. But a person can live with one kidney. So to save your mom, your beloved one in your family, you donate your organ so that inshallah your beloved one will survive. Okay, so this number 1, there is a necessity. Number 2, it is not harming that person. Remember, the dead person will not be harmed, finished. But this living person, if you if you cut his organs, like the heart, for instance, he will not survive, he will die. So you can't cut the heart to be transplanted into someone else to save that person. As I just mentioned to you, you can't save others while you are killing yourself. So some organ cannot be donated, like heart. Okay. So it is not harming you when you donate your organ to someone else. And you can normally practice your daily routines. Your life goes on as usual. Okay. Medically, you are not harmed. Nothing negative happens to you. If this condition is done, then we see the other conditions. What are they? It should not be again for sale. It is not for sale. Or it is not also for something that is not known, not seen. It might be invisible, like getting support, for instance, in politics. Or you say, you mention my name and worldwide. This is called muqabil ma'nawi. You are not getting money from them. But the condition is that you donate so that you are promoted, for instance. Your name has been mentioned. So any type of return, whether it is money or even fame, position, it is not allowed. It is not for sale. Again, not for gift. Okay, it is for gift. You are giving it as a gift. You are not selling it. Now, this is another issue. Number 4. Number 4 is when should this happen? If it is only done properly. Medical doctors, a team of medical doctors, authorities in the hospital confirmed that this person needs a kidney, otherwise he will not survive. So there is a decision by the authority, and there is acknowledgement by the person himself. Just mentioned, it should not be by force. He will write, acknowledge, I agree to donate my organ. Now, while he's still alive or after his death. So this written acknowledgement or agreement, okay, or the permission from him to give his organ should be there. Otherwise, it will not be allowed in Islam. And again, the doctors should be more than 3, not less than 3. And they should be specialized. Not all doctors can do it. Not all doctors can do it. They have to be specialized. This is to minimize the occurrence of any mistake, okay? To eliminate any possibility of wrongdoings. Ill-hearted people, sometimes they might do something that is not in line with Sharia. They might gain benefits, all the benefits. They might do it to harm that person. They have personal differences, personal disputes. So the 3 doctors, we assume they will be, inshallah, okay? And these 3 doctors should be also udul, trusted doctors, not any doctors. Okay, now the next issue here is, after you know the general conditions, it should not be, okay, it should not be the organ that is essential for your existence, like heart. And it should not, okay, it should not be done unless you are saving a life of someone or normalizing his life. So there is a major benefit to the receiver person, okay, to the revival of that person. You are saving that person. It should not be done for money. If these are clear, now with regard to heart, how are you allowed in Islam to donate your heart? Or how heart can be transplanted? Now, again, the maslaha is there. What is the maslaha? We are saving this person. Okay, so you are donating your heart after you die. You say, I am allowing people to use my heart. If there is a need for it, inshallah, I am donating my heart to be given to someone who is in need of it. Now, it must not be transmitted from a living person, because this is obvious. You will not survive if you donate your heart. Number 3, you are given this permission before death, before pronounced death. While still alive, you are writing that you are allowing people to use your heart. Now, it is not permissible in Islam to use pig or khanzir, that is haram. Okay, unless there is no other option. You have exhausted all other ways and means. There is no way for you to survive, or trusted doctors affirm that this person will not survive unless he gets this part from the khanzir. Of course, this for those who have allowed it, permit it to be given to human being. Because we are not getting anything from any other animal, not from human being, okay, not from human being, neither from human being nor from other animals. That is why you are forced to use khanzir's organ. Among the scholars who have agreed or those who are in favor of organ donation, if there is a necessity, Jad al-Haq, Ali Jad al-Haq, the Sheikh al-Azhar, I think 20 years ago, rahimahullah, Yusuf al-Qaradawi, who has recently passed away, rahimahullah, and some others, Sayyid Tantawi, also Mufti Jamhuriya of Egypt, Nasr Farid Wasil, Atiyah Saqr, Ali Jum'ah, Mustafa Zarqa, and so on and so forth. Those who are in favor of organ donation, because we need it nowadays. Also, we have the fatwa councils all over the world. Okay, fatwa council and fiqh academies in Saudi Arabia, in North America, in Jordan, in Malaysia, in many conferences. They have studied it thoroughly and profoundly, in-depth studies of this problem. If we don't allow it, what will happen? If you allow, what types of organ donations we should permit? So they have studied days after days, and they issued legal fatwa pertaining this issue. This is regarding the first topic. Now I have to move to another topic. Can you see the latest one? Or still the first one?
Yeah, we see that, Prof.
Which one? The second one?
Al-Hukuk al-Diniyah.
Yeah, okay, good. Now, this is intellectual rights. Quickly, because time doesn't permit us to go into details. In Islam, we have also intellectual rights. I should be protected, not only my body, my wealth, also my knowledge, my ideas, intellectual rights. Now, what is intellectual rights? Intellectual properties. Again, scholars here, they have two different opinions. If they talk about al-haq being my right, what is right? Because we have rights are three types: purely human rights, purely Allah's right, and some in between, mushtarak, common between Allah and human being. When you say Allah, you're talking about the society. Like al-hudud are purely Allah's right. You have no option but to apply hudud, with the exception of qadr, the accusation of an innocent girl of being adulterous. Qadr. This is between a human right and personal right, and also societal right. Haqqullah. But now, al-mal, what is al-mal? And what is here is my right, is my right shared by others? Can my right be shared by others? My wealth, my phone is my own money. But my knowledge should not be mine. Once I publish a book, it is for everyone to read it, benefit from it, to study it. So here comes the conflicting opinions in the scholars. And every group, and each group has its own adilla, evidences and proofs. We have haq mali and haq ghair mali. Okay, intellectual right here is haq ghair mali. It is not something that you possess, like wealth, like a house, like a car. Okay, but al-mal is obvious. Everyone knows this is yours, so others will not take it. Now, what is haq al-ta'lif? When talking about property rights, intellectual rights, we are talking about two types. Al-muharrarat, the written knowledge, books, magazines, templates, isn't it? This is al-muharrar, already written. The people know that this is your book, your article, you publish in a magazine. This magazine has published your article, so it is yours. It should be yours, property right. Others can benefit from it, but they have to acknowledge. In the footnotes, today we have footnotes, no plagiarism. So you write, this is an idea that I took from that book. You mentioned the book, the book's title, the author's name, the publisher, year of publication, place of publication, even the page number, to acknowledge this is not yours. You have taken it from others. Citing, you are citing, full documentation. So this is al-muharrarat, something written. But al-shafawiyat, like today we have TikTok, YouTube, you have many channels, people are talking, TV, internet, people are talking, okay, shafawiyat, verbally giving khutbah, like the Friday sermon, lectures, maw'izah, tazkirah. So the first one is almost known to everyone, and it will be accepted because it is something published, a book published, an article written by you, published in a magazine. But if it is a speech that you are giving, like what I'm doing now, I'm giving a speech, isn't it? The footnotes, the slide might be under the first one because it is a written slide. The lecturer has prepared for you. Dr. Akhtarzaite prepared it and gave to Dr. Hassan. Dr. Hassan gave it to me, isn't it? Or Dr. Mohsen, or I prepare myself, I gave to someone else. So I am now using someone else's slides. So it's not mine. But what I am saying is now mine, isn't it? So you can use my speeches, my lectures. You can cite me, Dr. Abdulhamid says so and so. Dr. Akhtarzaite says so and so. But if Dr. Akhtarzaite gave you notes, a book, this is her property right. Okay, unless she permits you to use it, to utilize it, to reprint it, you are not allowed to do anything with it. Okay. So we have two types, and what the scholars have said about these two types, again, is it haqqun khas or haqqun am? Haqqun khas means individual property, private property. Same like I have my own money, my own house. I am the father of my book, or I am the utilizer of the wealth that I gain through the publication of my books. So it is me that who should utilize this wealth because it is my money. I sell my books, so the money I got is called haq mali. Haq ma'nawi, haq adabi is the intellectual right that I am the author of this book. When I sell it after publication, then I use that money. I benefit from the money I got from it. After the demise of this author, the family can take it because they will inherit his wealth. So they have also the right to inherit the intellectual property, the intellectual rights of that person. If you say it's haqqun aam, it's for the ummah to benefit from it. Because thinking is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It should be given to everyone. Whether you are learning from the experience of others. When I listen to Dr. Akhtarzaite, I benefit from her. When she listens to me, she benefits from me. And you are benefiting from both of us. And I have learned this from my lecturer. And my students will learn from me. So it should not be restricted to one person. I should give it to everyone to learn, benefit from it. But I have to acknowledge it. As I just mentioned, when I write a book, I publish an article, I have to have the full citation, full documentation. I got this from that person, from that book. Okay? Unless the authority stops, okay, or prohibits or confiscates, this book should not be published. So now there is a restriction by the authority over this particular book because it harms the society. It disseminates bad ideas. It carries ideology that is not in line with the belief system of this society. It is encouraging indecency in the society. ينشر الفساد والفاحشة. So in this case, the authority had the right to restrict publications of some people, or certain books will not publish because there is mafsada in it. Okay, now in al-fuqaha, the fuqaha in al-fiqh, when talking about al-mal, they have included intellectual right here. But for the ahnaf, al-mal, it has to be something material that I can possess under my provision. I take it with me. So haqq al-ta'alif should not be there because it has no hirz. I didn't put my phone here. If it is stolen or taken by anyone, then I should not blame anyone because I didn't put it in the proper place. But if I put in my house, a stealer, a thief comes to my house to steal it, then he has stolen it. So they said ideas, thoughts, thinking is not like a property that I should keep in my house. Okay, the adillah of those who have said it is permitted, it is permissible for you to have your property rights. What are the adillah? Of course, they said, أحق ما أخذتم عليه أجرا كتاب الله. It is okay for you to teach Al-Quran, so you get money from it. Now, yes, this course for you, the entire certificate is free by IIIT. It is free. But not all people do it this way. You are spending time, energy, preparing here and there. You should not expect knowledge to be free all the time. Why? When you go to school, you pay. To the universities, when you are enrolled, your parents pay for you because knowledge. You are using it because you are paying for the teachers, for the lecturers. You are paying for the bills, electricity bill, water bill. You are renting the school. So anyhow, it is also among the rights. So in Al-Quran, teaching Al-Quran, to some scholars, you should not take money. But to some others, if you are spending time at the expense of something else, you are teaching Al-Quran. So you have the right to take money for that. Okay? زوجتك بما معك من القرآن. Another evidence, the hadith. A man wanted to marry, and he has no mahar. So he said, if you memorize Al-Quran, your mahar will be, the dowry will be Al-Quran. So how many usually memorize? He said, Surah Al-Baqarah. I memorize Surah Al-Baqarah. So Al-Baqarah here is something that is like a valuable thing. That is what you call like money, like gold, like a ring of gold. So it will replace, Surah Al-Baqarah will replace that gold, ring of gold, or that amount of money you pay as dowry. So if this is for zawat, of course, it means it is also your right to get money over it. Okay? And also they said, دَرْءُ الْمَفْسَدَ مُقَدَّمْ عَلَى جَلْبِ الْمَصْلَحَةِ. This is also another dalil. Now, how are you going to survive if you have no sources of income? Your earning comes from here. So here it is allowed, isn't it? Now, those who said it is not allowed in Islam to sell your thought, your ideas, they said this is juhd al-mu'allif, juhd al-fikri. You cannot possess it. It is not an effort that has done with your what you call sweat. You didn't pay money. It's only ideas, knowledge. So it should not be It should not be for business, for sale. And also Imam al-Qarafi, when talking about al-Tarif al-Ibtikar, he said it's ijtihad aqli. Ijtihad aqli, you cannot possess it. And also said it is an act of ibadah. So how come you are taking in return money? You have violated your ibadah. You are teaching the Quran, teaching people, lecturing people, giving ceramah, you say in Malay, ceramah, or you are giving maw'idah, tazkirah, khutbah, and you get money. You have now nullified. You have violated. You have disrupted the ibadah that you have done for the sake of Allah. So to them, it is not permitted. And of course, here we have to say that those who have said it is not permitted to have a property right, it is not that strong, because the argument they are saying is not that strong. That is why we are in favor of the first opinion, that is, it is permitted to have in Islam property right, intellectual rights. Okay. Now, what happens if someone has stolen the property rights of someone else? What is the hukm al-shar'i? What is the legal hukum? What happens if someone steals a property already known in Islam? The hands he cut. Commit zina can. Someone kills, he has to be killed. But how if someone has stolen the property right of someone else? Again, we have two opinions. The first one, yajuz, because it is not something that you own. So others can benefit from it. So if you have stolen it, you have stolen an idea, an invention of someone, okay? Someone has created something, invented something, and you are stealing it, no problem, because it is not something that you possess. Unless someone has, for instance, invented a car, so this car now can be seen. It is sensible. But ideas, no. Why? The hadith says, "Man katama ilman aljamahu Allahu bilijami min al-nari yawm al-qiyamah." So to them, the hadith is very clear. If you conceal, you hide knowledge, in the day of resurrection will be punished. Why? Because you are concealing knowledge that you know. وَمَنْ كَتَمَ عِلْمًا. وَمَنْ كَتَمَ عِلْمًا. That means you should not conceal it. You should expose it. You should convey it. You should disseminate it. So here it is not permitted for you to get money, because the hadith says, وَمَنْ كَتَمَ عِلْمًا. If anyone takes your knowledge, have stolen your wealth, yes, will be punished. But stolen your thought, your ideas will not be punished. It is permissible. But the vast majority now, he said, la yajuz, because you are taking the rights of others without his permission. Okay? You cannot imitate the invention of someone. Even today, you see, if any car manufacturers, okay, invented Toyota, BMW, anything, name them. They will not allow anyone to steal anything, to imitate, to emulate, unless they get prior permission. And they have to have a prior agreement. I want to use your name, your brand, your what? Your logo, your name. Anyhow, if he or she agrees, allows you, then it's halal. Otherwise, it remains haram, because this is your right. Now, is it inherited? Before we end, inshallah, is it inherited? Can you inherit? Yes. Like Ad-Duraini said, for 60 years can be used by your people, your family. They can inherit it. After the demise of the author, the family members can use his book to be reprinted and to be in the market, benefit from the money that they get out of the publications of these books. After 60 years, then it is for the whole ummah. It is for everyone. It is a common property for the ummah. Also, they said it is a haq aini. It is the same as your car, your money. It should be inherited. Now, what happens if it is stolen? As I said just now, can the handle be cut off? For those who said it is not mal, so it should not be cut. The hand should not be cut. The stealer should not be punished. But al-jumhur, it is a criminal, a crime. It is a criminal person. He is a criminal person because he had stolen the property rights of someone else. Okay? And if, of course, it depends on the nature of this aggression. If your aggression is to take the whole book, for instance, the entire book, publish it under your name, it's a big crime. But if you take part of it, like you Xerox, or you photostat, for instance, or you take part of it. So here we have the الطباعة والتقليد, to reprint it. Yeah. Already
Yes,
finished?
Prof.
Already done?
We already past 10 minutes.
Ya Allah. I'm sorry.
MashaAllah.
I actually I wanted to complete this because they have many issues to be discussed for next class. But what to do? Yeah.
Because
this issue is very relevant to all of us, and that is why
yes,
I gave it the emphasis, because we as students, as lecturers, as publishers, knowingly or unknowingly, we steal properties of others. We take the books and we photostat them and we sell them, write the names sometimes without acknowledging the names of the author. We write our names, steal ideas. So it is extremely important for us to know from the fiqh perspective. And that's why I spend time on it. Thank you very much for your patience. Jazakumullah khairan.
yeah, sure, Doctor. MashaAllah. We have a great, interesting class today. And thank you, Prof, for your time and your knowledge for sharing today. Because we have limited time. If not, mashallah, this is the thing that we need. And we have one more last class, inshallah, to be shared. Yeah, Prof. We will continue in the next class. And thank you very much. Inshallah, next class we will replace, because if not, this is the last class, but we have replaced. Last class we doesn't have because of Malaysia election. Yeah, inshallah we will meet Prof again in the next session. May Allah bless you, Prof. And hopefully all your knowledge will be blessed from Allah, and hopefully all students will benefit from this knowledge. And then now we have break about nearly to 20 minutes, and we have to meet again with another lecturer, inshallah. Thank you, Prof. There is a lot of question, but cannot answer now. Thank you. So we have break 20 minutes, yes. Assalamualaikum, Prof. Prof Haji Besar.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yeah, Syariah, yes.
How are you, Prof?
Okay. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. After we have a lesson last week, yeah, that we doesn't have class, so inshallah we will come back again with Prof Haji Besar, yeah, with our class today. And inshallah, in the same like usual, we will meet Prof in the subject application of Fiqh and Usul al-Fiqh in Islamic banking and finance. Right, Prof? And
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, inshallah, without further ado, because we already arrived at 11 o'clock, so falyatafaddal maskurah, Prof.
Inshallah. I have some audience in front of me here, so the procedure that we have to wear mask. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. A'udzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyidil mursalin sayyidina maulana Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in, amma ba'd. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. And first and foremost, we are very grateful to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for permitting us to be here again in the session Fiqh and Usul al-Fiqh, organized by IIIT jointly with the UIA, inshallah. So my name is Dr. Besar Ngah, who is one of the combined and 4 sessions. Now we are coming to the 5th session. And we are talking about the application of Fiqh and Usul al-Fiqh in the Islamic financial transaction and also in other aspects of Muamalat. So hopefully we have benefited to a certain extent of what we have been discussing during the last couple of weeks, except for last week where we have the election, and we are continuing again this week, inshallah. And I would like to continue from what I left last time by sharing with you some of the material which I have already prepared. Should you have any questions, for example, any queries or any idea would you like to share, please do not hesitate to share with me, inshallah. I have to slant the screen a little bit so that I can see better, so you can see the top of my head. No issue here, inshallah. Alhamdulillah. Okay. From what you can see, we are still talking about application of Fiqh and also Fiqh in the Muamalat. So here we come to the lecture number 15, 16, 17, I think, with number 17. Last week, we were discussing about issues regarding the banking deposit. Okay, issue regarding banking deposit, among which we were talking about the differences in the scholars' opinion, differences in the opinion of the fuqaha, for example, as regard to the acceptance of
Assalamualaikum, Prof. I think his line is already back up. Let me check with him first.
Hello, can you hear me? I have some
Yes.
problem connection just now. Can you hear
Yes,
me?
Prof.
Hello?
Yes, Prof. Yes,
Hello?
yes.
Hello?
Yes, yes.
Can you hear me?
Okay.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was having
Prof.
some connection problem. I'm sorry.
Prof, if connection is not really good, you can stop video, just sharing the screen, but stop the video also can help.
Okay, okay, okay. All right. I will see what I can do. Probably I stop the video. Okay. Okay. I think it is okay now. You can see what I have prepared. So we were talking about last week, for example, regarding the acceptability of the deposit from the various sources. So we found out that yes, in banking practices, banks are allowed to accept deposit from whatever sources. It is not incumbent upon the bank. It is not a responsibility of the bank, for example, to identify, to investigate, to find out what are the sources of that deposit, where it should come from, whether it is from okay, there's as long as there's a slightest evidence to allow you to do muamalat, so it's okay. Accepted. This is how the system works. In view of the needs to address the contemporary issues, in view of the need to address so many emerging new things in the society now, especially with the advent of fintech, for example, financial technology, for example, and the new hybrid of product. Not to mention, we are yet to talk about the cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and so many other digital assets. Why does the Fiqh ruling as regards to this, which we have not heard before? So, ladies and gentlemen, I must thank you very much for sharing with me and being patient to be with me. And I will continue now. What I want to talk to you today, to share with you today, and to discuss today is about still the concept of wadi'ah. All right. You see, it is not compulsory for Islamic financial system, whether Islamic takaful, Islamic banking, capital market, for example, to provide profit to the depositors, unless it is agreed upon. So now we have so many variances, okay, many variants of deposit that are allowed or created by the institution. Before we only have, for example, wadi'ah account, wadi'ah deposit, as I am showing to you now. I would like to share in the bigger screen, okay? Wadi'ah deposit, for example. Okay, wadi'ah. But now we have, for example, a TDT deposit, term deposit for tawarruk. This is a new deposit. Al-Awfar, for example, in some of the bank. Okay, cash deposit, wealth management deposit. We have wakalah deposit, mudarabah deposit, musyarakah deposit. So many variations of the type of contracts, okay, which has been introduced by the Islamic banking and financial system all over the world, depending on the needs, okay, of the various part of the world. What is the issue that we are discussing now is the provision of hibah, payment of hibah. Let me share with you the original concept in contemporary practices of the conventional bank. Age-old tradition in conventional bank since from the time of Maryam, for example, time in Maryam, conventional bank do provide interest. Conventional bank provide interest for the deposit placed by the customers. Whether the customers are consumer banker customer, corporate banker customer, or other form of customer, institutional customers, they always pay deposit. Okay. The placement of deposit always bear with it interest payment. So pay interest. Now, when we started Islamic banking, then we know that interest is riba, haram. So how do we go about compensating the customer? This is the issue of fiqh, okay, in the practice of muamalah in banking system. The rationale here, do you need to pay profit to the deposit money? For example, the customer place money on the wadi'ah. There are two types of wadi'ah here. Wadi'ah amanah. Amanah means it's just for safekeeping. You have to return the money without any promise, okay, without any guarantee of safety. And then you cannot use the money by the bank. The bank cannot use the money for other investment, financing, or other use for expenses. No, you have to return upon request. And then you have daman or daman there, which is a guarantee. Guarantee return, guarantee safety, guarantee security, sometimes guarantee the amount of profit if you are talking about joint usage of the money by the bank and by the customer from time to time. So here, interest prohibited. So you provide what you call hibah. Hibah is a voluntary transfer of asset, volunteer. Unilaterally is non-contractual, unilateral, which means by one party, by one person. There is the bank. The bank decides to provide, to give away. Hibah have two dimensions or two applications. One application is the hibah of the property. Hibah, for example, zakat, for example, wakaf, for example, okay, is hibah. Hibah of property also have some fiqh ruling there in terms of permissibility, in terms of who you can hibah with, you can hibah to, and how much of your asset it can be hibah. Generally, you're talking about 1/3. Generally, hibah is only applicable to those who are the members of family who are not eligible to inherit the property, inheritance or miras, for example, not part of those who are eligible for example, the remains or the leftover of the deceased people. And second hibah is the hibah, which is actually a gift by the bank to the customer. Now, there are two issues here. One issue is it permissible? And second issue is how much it is permissible and how do you promise the customer to give hibah? This is the issue here in FIQH. In banking, we do not guarantee hibah. Okay, when you don't guarantee the return, it is compliant to Sharia, number one. Number two, you sometimes provide, sometimes you don't provide, you don't guarantee. Number two, you are actually publishing the rate, which is called, this is what I am going to share with you now. Okay. Example, deposit for tawarruk investment, 5.7%. This is actually a promise. So a promise can tantamount to riba. Okay. A promise of certain return to the deposit money, investment money, okay, predetermined rate, tantamount to riba. You look at here. Term deposit, 5.7% from 20th October to 31st December. This is by one of the bank, okay, by one of the bank. So, for example, you put 10,000 and then you split the account 7,000 to another account A, Tawaru account, sorry, 3,000 to another Alpha account. This one is the technical term, not necessary. But the issue here is the promise of 5.7% tantamount to riba or not? The question now, this is the application, you know. What if you don't promise? When I go to the bank, I want to put my money and I ask the bank, Mr. Bank, how much do I can expect the profit? The bank said, I don't know. I don't know. I cannot promise. I cannot guarantee. I cannot do this. I cannot do that. What do you think the customer will do? The customer will run away. Customer run away. How can the bank, when I put the money, okay, in your bank, you do not know how much can I expect? So this is the issue, the practical issue, the real issue in the practical world, in the real world. So the bank had no choice but to give what they call indicative rate. Indicative rate. What is it? Indicating the amount. For example, here, up to 4.4% profit rate. Okay, up to 4.4. There's an asterisk here. There's a star here. This is called indicative rate. Okay, indicative. How do you get indicative rate? There are two types of mechanism where you are able to offer indicative rate. One of which, of course, based on the rate determined by central bank in many countries. In Malaysia, unfortunately, the mechanism of financial management by the bank is based on riba. Malaysian bank manage the economy based on riba. What do I mean by that? Based on the interest. Malaysian government, through the central bank, for example, manage the monetary policy through interest rate regulation. For example, they determine OPR, overnight policy rate. They determine BLR, base lending rate by the bank. And from there, the bank will start to calculate, okay, backward, how much the cost of fund, how much the profit that they expect to meet, and how much they can offer. So every calculation, every single figure is based on riba calculation. So here, two things. One, you don't promise. Second, you promise. The promise is actually based on the expected, based on the, for example, indicative rate. But still, you are talking about rate. So the spirit, the substance is still riba-based substance. Is still riba-based substance. Although the format of the akad is compliant to Sharia, but the spirit is still riba-based because you still based on the conventional method of calculating how much return will be given to the depositors based on what is determined by the central bank of many countries in the world, including in Malaysia, for example, based on the overnight policy rate, based on the, for example, the base lending rate or base financing rate, then you pay based on that. So, my dear brothers and sisters and followers, and some of you are scholars, lawyers, for example, and banking practitioners, how can we do this in order to improve the future of compliance, total compliance? Probably, you know, you should not very much rely on the determination of rate as determined by the central bank, which is riba-based, riba, totally riba, 100% riba. So what you do, you have to calculate your own internal cost of your operation, cost of your administration, cost of fund, for example, and then what is the market expectation, and you calculate from there. That will be more clearer, more pure, more clean, as compared to you based on some interest riba-based mechanism, as what we have been doing for the last 40 to 50 years. So this is how fiqh fiqh application look at the practices within the system. So much so that we are trying to provide competitive services to the customers, in the sense that if commercial bank, conventional bank, riba bank give 5% interest rate for the deposit money, we also would like to provide an equivalent return to the customer in the form of riba, if not more. But the mechanism of calculation must be clear. The mechanism of computation must be correct. The mechanism of computation must be totally compliant to Sharia. You can have indication of what the expectation of the market, but the calculation must never be based on interest rate. This is what the concern of many scholars, the concern of many academicians, looking at what's happening in the market now. Okay. Why do you go to the bank to deposit money? Is another question. You go to the bank to deposit money for two reasons. Number one, you want to ensure the safety of your money, safety of your asset. Okay. Number two, you want to invest. You would like to do investment. For example, tawaruk deposit, al-awfa deposit, wealth management deposit, cash management deposit, wakalah deposit, mudarabah deposit, musyarakah. You are investing to get return. Is it wrong? No, it's not wrong. The issue now, if the bank don't give return, you don't go. My question is, if all Islamic banks decided not to give return to the depositors' money, do you go to Islamic bank or do you go to conventional bank to get the maximum return? Many people in the past studies indicated that they will go to conventional bank to enjoy greater return for their money if Islamic bank is not able to provide equivalent return. This is the issue. So how much do you expect people's ability to comply to Sharia? A study by Jared and Cunningham in one of the research, very interesting finding. Jared Cunningham study about 10 years ago in Singapore, in Malaysia, Brunei, Indonesia, in Qatar, Oman, Bahrain, in Dubai, asking customers, what do you expect to get when you place money with Islamic bank? Do you expect to get return? Most of those customers in the Middle East say that they place the money there because of security and they don't expect a return. But many customers in Indonesia, Singapore, even in Brunei and Malaysia, they were responding to that by saying they are looking for the highest return for their money, for investment. So folks, let us look at this. What is our duty now? Our duty now, as far as the application of Fiqh and Usul Fiqh in the banking system, is to ensure safeguarding the safety of people from violating the Sharia law, from non-compliant practices. So how do? We have no choice but to provide the best return, the best hibah, even though it is voluntary, the best return to profit, the best return to investment, in order to safeguard Muslims, especially from diverting their money to the non-compliant channel, non-institution. So this is where the efficiency of banking system is so paramount. For example, I would like to share with you now. Last year in Malaysia, Islamic Bank, Bank Islam, make profit about 0.7 billion, 700 million, which is actually small compared to previously because of the COVID-19 impact on the economy, COVID-19 impact on the practices, on the market, for example. And you have the corporate consumer banking about 1.2 billion, investment there, and corporate customer about 0.4 billion. So all this, you have to keep updating your practices and your services with the demand of the market. Okay, competitive with that of the conventional bank. It's a challenge actually. A challenge to me is not so much in terms of economic challenge, financial challenge, but challenge to ensure the compliance to Sharia all the time. This is the biggest challenge. And at the same time, as I was saying before, is to ensure that banking system are profitable. Banking system is sustainable. Banking system is growing so that we are seen by non-Muslim, by the world of other people as Islam is actually a religion of growth, religion of productivity, religion of profitability, religion of a deed which is part of the practices of the everyday life of every individual on this world, not only Muslim, but also non-Muslim. Okay. Thirdly, when we are talking about hibah payment, okay, one hibah is not compulsory. Second hibah, we decided that it is something which is incumbent upon bank to give because of the maslahah, because of the competition, because of their market demand, and not only give, but also competitive amount, okay, equivalent amount, if not better than what is given by government. Why? Because of maslahah. Otherwise, you will see that nobody, very few, very few, will left their money with the Islamic bank if there is no return there. Very few. This is the problem of the modern world, the problem of the attitude, the problem of their mentality of many of the Muslims today. This is not theoretical, but it is factual based on the research finding by many of the scholars as regard to what they look for. Is it compliant or written? Preferably both compliant and written, but mostly if written is not there, they will not go there. They will go to where the written is. Okay. Hibah, is it allowed to be given to the non-Muslim? This is the issue now. If hibah on property, then you can see. Can you walk off to non-Muslim? There are arguments by the scholar here, 6 scholars. Some say yes, some say no. Can you hibah your asset to non-Muslim? Some say yes, some scholars say no. Majority of the scholars say no. Some of the scholars say yes. So when there is a contradiction or there is a differences in opinion by the scholars as regard to can hibah, for example, in banking system, you have customers not only Muslim. In non-Muslim countries, non-Islamic countries, or Muslim minority countries, for example, okay, you can see that in Thailand, I'm the advisor there, almost 99% of the customers are Buddhist, non-Muslim. You give hibah. If hibah, Islamic concept of gift, applicable to non-Muslim, this is the issue now. So in situation of this nature, the ruling say that for the sake of maslahah, okay, we are allowed to provide. So it is permissible to give, even though certain things you cannot hibah, certain asset you cannot hibah to non-Muslim, certain property you cannot hibah to non-Muslim. If the hibah will finally, at the end of the day, will be turned out to something wastage, something not useful to the people, something which you use against the Islamic ruling, for example, or worst of all, that money, that property that was transmitted by hibah to non-Muslim, we use as, for example, weapon to fight against Muslims in the future. Okay, so I have discussed this issue of position of investment account, deposit account, for example, in this banking system, and how does fiqh scholars look at it. So the solution is it is permissible, but the mechanism of computation have to be refined so that we do not follow the conventional rate. As I was saying just now, why do you choose 5.7% here? Why? The answer is you follow conventional rate. You follow the conventional rate. You follow the riba rate. You follow what conventional bank rate. It's not your internal efficiency. It's not because your internal, for example, wealth generating capacity. It's not your internal ability to generate wealth, generate profit, generate revenue income. No, because this is what market is offering generally. So you offer about the same market. This is what is very undesirable, very disappointing sometimes. We are taking shortcut too much, too many times, too often in order to, follow the market trend in order to be in the mainstream of the business, in order to be where everybody is. Whereas we had our own mechanism in Sharia system on how to determine the profit sharing, how to determine the rate, for example. So please, the scholars out there, the people out there, the person out there, examine this. There must be a mechanism where we can use a more refined mechanism of determination of riba and rate of income. Alhamdulillah. Allow me to move on. If there are any question, please do not hesitate to share or to ask. Okay. Again, you have some issue here which is not very clear, but I would like to share with you. There are two types of common deposit. You have amana, damana. This one amana, this one damana. Damana is a guarantee. You look at this, okay? Where here there's no guarantee. No guarantee for the money placed yet amana. So many of the customers, place yet amana account with the bank. Okay. If you do not guarantee the money to be returned to the customer will not come to your bank. Even though the fiqh ruling, the fiqh law said, you see, safekeeping based on trust. Okay, safe deposit box. Okay, use of money not allowed. Okay, return and benefit not applicable. Okay, marketing not applicable. Ownership replacement by the customer. Okay, you don't have to guarantee. But if you don't guarantee, then who will come to you? So again, the fiqh ruling says something, the practice says for the benefit of ummah. I'm not saying that fiqh ruling is wrong, but you have to look into a wider, much broader application and perspective in terms of reality of the industry practices. Okay. Same thing also in Oman, you guarantee, okay, and you use the money based on historical return here. Okay. The mana, what is return expected by the customer based on the sharing of the fund used by the bank, placed by the customer in the institution. So it's okay. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Now let us move on. If you have any question, please ask. Okay. I would like to share now with you the another concept which is so very, very often used in the banking industry, which is called murabaha. This is part of the financing. So murabaha concept, markup sale. What is murabaha? Murabaha is just a sale by the bank of asset and the bank mark up the price. The fiqh ruling here, it is permissible, okay? An agreement whereby the bank sell the good asset, okay, that the bank already own, okay, and make available possession to the customer at acquisition cost with the inclusion of profit margin, okay. Here, this condition where we must remember, it is compulsory upon the seller of murabaha contract or product to disclose the profit margin. You must disclose, okay. The cost price must be disclosed, okay. The market profit must be disclosed. Okay. So this is the differences between the musawamah, okay, and murabaha. Okay, here does not require to disclose. Here you require to be disclosed. Okay. Murabaha must be disclosed. This is a fiqh ruling. Okay. The issue now, what is the issue here? I have one example here. If you are, let me insert one new slide. Issues in murabaha. Murabaha is equal to cost plus. Let's say bank sell asset, okay, asset to customers at USD 100,000, 150,000. The cost price of asset equals to USD 100,000. Okay. Bank make profit margin, okay, profit margin USD 50,000. What are the issue here? What are the issue here? So this one is okay, maybe on deferred payment, okay, maybe on deferred payment. Deferred payment. Okay, payment cost. Deferred payment. This application, this contract, you look at it, in original sense, it is permissible, okay? As far as I'm concerned, it is permissible. We can. But there are issues in this. What are the issues here? One of the biggest issues is that how do you determine the price of 150,000? Why 150, for example? Your cost is 100,000. All right. This is your cost. And then you are selling to the customer, the bank, 150,000. Okay. And you make profit, bank is 50,000. What is the basis of this 50,000? This is what my argument is. What is the basis of making profit margin? There are many applications here. For example, I can show you now some of the application here in the vehicle financing, for example. Vehicle financing, in-trade financing, okay. Munabahah trade financing, the customers order products from the exporter. So the product at 100,000 US dollars, okay. And then the bank sell to the customer at 150,000 US dollars, for example. The bank pay the supplier 100,000, the bank sell back to the customer 150,000, and the bank make profit of 3,000. So the issue of making profit is not the issue, but the issue here in Islamic legal system, in the fiqh issue, the question is how you justify 50,000, or do you need to justify or not? This is one of the questions here. In the first place, do you need to justify? Yes, of course. If I am the customer, I will ask the bank, why you make 50,000? What are you going to answer? Are you going to say, well, everybody is charging 50,000 extra, for example, 50% extra for this kind of condition. Again, you are talking about everybody. You are talking about market rate. You are talking about the tradition in the system. So if that is the concept that we are employing or using, I think it is not an compliant concept. It is actually circumventing the practice of riba, or tantamount to maybe zalim or injustice to people. Okay. This is the issue now. All right. Why are you, for example, when you are financing vehicle financing, for example, to the customer, okay, vehicle on the airport cost certain amount of dollars, okay, the dealer, customer go to the dealer, okay, to buy the car at 100,000, okay, and then the bank buy the car for the customer and sell the customer on a murabahah financing, and then the customer pay the bank 150,000. The issue is how do you determine 50,000 profit? The answer is simple. You are basing on the market rate. You are basing on the market competitiveness. Is it wrong? No, it's not wrong. The issue here, don't you have any other mechanism rather than so very simple way of determining the markup? Why must I crack my head, Professor, to find out the actual cost, the actual amount of money which I have to spend in order to manage my bank, my financing. Why do I do that? The answer is wrong. The answer is, as a Muslim practitioner, especially in Muamalat, we need not go to resort to, for example, the interest-based computation. Why? Because everybody is charging 150. On the airport, 150,000, for example. Everybody is selling on credit. So I sell that one. How do you determine 150? Based on interest. So what do you mean? You are also based on interest. Is it as simple as that? As simple as that. Whereas you should have the reason for example, charging additional 50,000 here. How do you find the reason? I will discuss with you later on, okay, on how you are going to look at the reason and what other reasons should be in order to justify the amount that you are charging. Okay. Alhamdulillah. Is there any questions so far? I would like to answer some questions. Okay, please. Our chairperson, do you have any question by anybody now? Regarding, yeah, please.
Yes,
Yeah, is there any question? I will let to answer before I proceed.
Because we have 5 more minutes, so we need maybe one question. Let me check in the chat box first.
Okay. Is there any question? We have 5 more minutes. Okay. No question? Okay. Alhamdulillah. Maybe it is not well understood by many of the listeners or too simple, for example. There are 2 possibilities. Okay, no.
Brother Olo Sala Yusuf, he raised the hand.
Okay. What do you say?
So brother, you can
can you allow him? Okay.
Yeah, brother Ulusola.
Ulusola Yusuf, yeah.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Go on, please.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much, Prof. We really enjoy your lecture. Please, I've tapped my question on the screen, but I could discover that it was not shown. Can we, on the basis of this knowledge, because I also did Islamic economics, now in Islamic Islamic finance in the Usul al-Fiqh, can we, on the basis of this knowledge, establish finance house, Islamic finance house? Can we, on the basis of this knowledge, is it enough for us to establish on Islamic banking? So, especially in Nigeria. Thank you, sir. Prof.
Thank you very much, Ulusola. The issue of banking institutional practices is the right of the country, is the authority of the country. In Malaysia, for example, is the right of the government to issue license. And the provision that are provided actually under IFSA, Islamic Financial Services Act. Okay. This is the guiding principle upon which all regulation or supervision or laws are based. Okay. You cannot register an institution with the government and you have your own law. No, cannot. You can practice in private, but not as a public institution for offering your services. It is wrong. Okay, it is wrong. Everywhere in the world, it is not allowed. Number one, what happened now in all the banking practices over the world? I can tell you one thing based on my experience from the researchers, my student research, the study, observation, conferences. There are differences in the practices almost everywhere. In Malaysia, in Nigeria, the products are different. Definition of product are different. Okay, the concept are different. The application are different. What is similar? We believe that we are Sharia compliant. Who said so? Then Central Bank said. In Nigeria, Sanusi said before. Jaiz Bank, for example. Sharia compliant. I train all the all the staff of Jaiz Bank. I train all the staff of a Central Bank of Nigeria. I train all of them for almost 6 months. I provide the training, and many of them are non-Muslim. It's okay, but the law is different from Malaysian law. In Pakistan, we just do some research and what we will invent there. Totally different in terms of what tantamount to halal, what tantamount to permissible. In Malaysia, what is Sharia compliant is what is compliant as defined by Sharia Committee, as defined by Sharia Committee's Advisory Committee of Central Bank. In Nigeria, also same. The two committees may differ from one another. So now, what I was discussing to you, okay, Ulusola, is that the actual practice actually differs from the fixed ruling. Why? Because they want to mix-match. They want to be competitive. They want to be addressing the issue of maslahah for that particular region of the country. For example, in Nigeria, you're talking about regional distribution of slamic bank, mostly in the north, not in other parts. Okay, not acceptable. Alright, and the product also very limited. Interbank transaction very difficult. And if you are in the shortage of money, you either borrow from Central Bank of Nigeria or you borrow from other bank. Other bank charge you interest, for example. If you have surplus money, you play with Central Bank, no interest paid in Nigeria. If you play with other conventional bank, the interest is paid, but you cannot take interest because it's riba. So this is where the issue is. I have to respect, I have to accept these practices, differences all over. If I want to do a perfect financial house, for example, based on Usul Fiqh and Fiqh, I will not be able to address contemporary issues now, emerging, and differences in technology, culture, region, okay, and of course, mazahib. Thank you very much. Any more?
Thank you, Prof.
Okay.
Thank you for the question, and thank you, Prof, to answer the question.
Maybe the time is up now. Okay.
Yeah, and students have a lot of questions, but because the time is limit, we cannot for the due.
Okay.
And thank you very much, Prof.
No problem.
It's really interesting. It's really interesting.
Okay.
And hopefully all the knowledge that you have given will be benefit from the student, inshallah. Student will benefit from it, inshallah.
Inshallah. Okay, thank you very much. And of course, you have my numbers, you have my email, you can communicate with me direct, for example. And then if you have any issues want to discuss further, inshallah, you are most welcome. And thank you very much, IIIT, thank you, Madato, thank you very much, Daria, and also all the team for allowing me to share some of the information, knowledge, and also experience. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And have a nice weekend, Prof.
No problem, inshallah.
Thank you. And Prof Haji, Dr. Haji Saya.
Yes. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. How are you, Doctor?
Should we start now? We're going to break for 5 minutes for the participants.
Yeah, also can, but because we have break just now 20 minutes also.
I think we let the participant break for 5 minutes to refresh.
Yeah, inshallah. Yeah, inshallah. We will come back 11:55 like that.
Yes, 11:55. Yes. Now it's 11:45. So maybe 5-minute breaks. Well, 11:15. Yeah.
Yes, Prof. Doctor.
Yes.
Okay, I think we can start now, Doctor.
Okay, I'll try to look where is my what do you call that? It is muted. A second. Okay, Assalamualaikum. Shall we start?
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullah. Okay, to all participants, like usual, we will meet with Dr. Haji Dr. Shaya'a Othman on the title Application of Maqasid al-Syariah in Management, Hospitality, Banking and Finance. And inshallah, we will continue. For the last class, we doesn't have because of the election. Inshallah, we continue our class. Doctor will proceed with to continue from the previous class, inshallah. Without further ado, falyatafaddal maskura, Doctor.
Yes, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. So I'm very happy, alhamdulillah, we'll be able to meet again this week. And I think it's the 5th lectures or 6 lectures, but anyway, this is the 5th lectures.
Yeah, 5 lectures.
Yeah, there will be another lectures in next week.
Yes, it's the last,
Okay,
inshallah.
it's 5 lectures, but the next lectures, perhaps we could make a summary and asking more questions and recall what we have discussed in the past 5 lectures. So today lectures, basically, since we are looking into the strategic, we're looking into the overall management, we have managed to understand what is Maqasid al-Syariah as a strategy in management, and we have understand or rather learn or rather discuss how that Islamic management could be created through the integration of Islamic Sharia with the management process. It could be similarly done with other work process, for example, economic spectrums or medicals, because Sharia basically is a principle and wisdoms, rules and regulation. It could add up with the work process to enhance the work process, okay, and to eliminate which are against Sharia. So today the discussion perhaps which we are looking to the overall development, what's happening in this world today, and where are they heading, and what are the policy of the respective government looking into implementation in the country, including a Muslim country. As we had discussed in previous chapters, that the United Nations is trying to introduce many regulation or many methods or many procedures so that the members country could apply, basically because of the situation in which that the present development could not solve the problem, social problem, as well as the economic problem, in the sense that economic is basically focused on too much on commercialization, ignoring the social obligation. So, for example, we have discussed in earlier lectures introductions of 1946 United Nations Declaration on Human Rights, 1946, after the World War, but still the problem of social problem, for example, the exploitation of women for their slave sex industry, forced labor, and then you can see the study in alcoholism that kill every 10 seconds, one person die alcoholism, United Nations study, and they even persuaded the members country to solve the problem. But until today, you can see that the problem is not been solved. And now, 2015, they came out with this, what they called it, the Sustainable Development Goals. It was United Nations Assembly to be achieved by 2030. Here you can see 2030, and they call it Agenda 2030. Basically, there are 17 sustainable development goals. For example, if we can read here, or we can list it down here: no poverty, zero poverty target, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, greater equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation and infrastructure, reduced inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and products, climate action, life below water, life on land, peace, justice, and strong institution partnership to achieve this goal. Yeah, these are the basic specific goal to be achieved, because the earlier this decree was basically very wide, but now they are focusing into 17 goals to be achieved in 2030. Now it's already 2022, another 8 years. Is there any, what they call trend toward this achievement? And many countries, including Malaysia, is putting this goal as their planning, what they call that, long-term planning or the 5 years planning and so on to achieve this goal. And according to the study, that Malaysia is 68th country, tops on the 68 achieving this sort of goal. But anyway, this goal is very specific. If you understand Maqasid al-Syariah, it's very wide, yet very specific. For example, what they call this protections of religions. Here they don't mention the protection of religion. Religion is the way of life. Protections of life. Yeah, there are many protections of life here. What they call this partnership, peace, justice, and so on. Some of element. And then protections of intellect. Yeah, maybe they put that here education, okay, quality education. Protections of human offspring. Yeah, they didn't mention basically here offspring in the sexual, what do you call that, biological offspring of family. They mentioned here maybe strong institution, strong family institution here. And others about protection of resources, wealth and resources. They mentioned here some sort of environmental. But there are the variables here, about 17 variables. But if we look at Maqasid al-Syariah, is very wide, very, what I call the scope is very wide, very complete. And the details of it, perhaps with this sort of element could be parts of the variable in that bigger scope. So that's why we maintain that Maqasid al-Syariah as a strategy for development. Okay, when we talk, why this thing happened, as you know, this thing happened is due to the, we didn't mention of the grave catastrophe of the development, industry, economics that lead to social problem, lead to environmental problem, and many declarations we made by United Nations, but still that they are not improving as it is. But now we can see the new SDO being implemented. The reason behind, if you look at the world situation, okay, the digital transformation. Why I mentioned here is that this is what the developments of the world today, and that how are we going to integrate, or rather implant the revealed knowledge, or rather the revealed principle, as we have mentioned, we have capsulized it in the Maqasid al-Syariah objective. Yeah, we can see the Europe Industry 4, it does not really achieve in terms of social economics, what it calls development in the past, as far as economic, as far as social development is not being taken care of. So it's in the China now going into the totalitarian capitalism, and then Japan, Society 5, North America, and so on. Why I focus on Society 5? Because Japan in 2005 advocated, or they introduced in one seminar by the industry, that we need some value add into the development. When I listened that, when I read the value, human value into the development, that interests me well in that. And they are propagating in this thing, what I call value, human value into the development, but there's no reference to it. What sort of values to be put? Okay, let's just define what is. I focus on the Society 5 because the time is just half an hour. I'm not looking into the other aspect. Perhaps the other aspect, like Europe, Industry 4, failed to achieve the social humans values needed for the development. Okay, let's just look at this. What really Society 5? This is what Society 5 meant. The main definition defined by the Japanese cabinet ministers, because they adopt the suggestion by the Association of Industry, that a human-centered society that balance economic advancement with the resolution of social platform by a system that highly integrates cyberspace and physical space. I will let you know what cyberspace and physical space. Yeah, see here is so you can see that it was introduced by the 5th Science and Technology Basic Plan in 1995, and so 2015, as a future society that Japan should aspire to follow, and that is relating to the development from Society 1 to Society 4 and then Society 5. Okay. Yeah, perhaps this Society 5 is not well known, because we had a conference in Turkey about development of Society 5. During the discussion, one professor supposed to present a paper. He asked us, what is Society 5? Yeah, we have to explain what is Society 5. Yeah, because America is not following Society 5, Europe is not following Society 5 as advocated by Japan. But Japan is trying to introduce this, not only in Japan, in worldwide. Okay. But anyway, we have the role to play as a Muslim, how we could realign this policy of Society 5. We must understand what Society 5 first, and then let us look into other definition. Japan aims to become the first country in the world to achieve a human-centered society. Society 5 is a human-centered society in which they try to bring values so that human beings can enjoy high quality of living, full of vigor. To accomplish this by incorporating advanced technologies in diverse industry and social activities and fostering innovation to create new values. New values. Now we can see that society are so much engaged with technological advancement and then forget the society, forget the social problem. Even the industry are focusing on profitability. Yeah. This is another definition, human-centered society that balance economic advancement with resolution of social problems. There's so many problems now. They're looking into the resolution of social problems by a system that highly integrate cyberspace and physical space. Because sometimes people are focused too much on cyberspace, they forget in the physical space of human space. This is human space. So these are what happened, as you understand. Yeah, you can refer in many of the development, you look into Society 5 with the Japanese. I'm just giving you the example. What is the difference between the current Society 4? Society 4 is basically what they call information here. You can see that we're looking into cloud information here. We get that information, too much information. We get it too much information. We forget the how to analyze this information. Too much information, too much data, too much information that we are engrossed in information. And then we forget the most important element of information is to analyze it. So, but there are people who analyze it, takes time to analyze it. There's much time to look into the analysis and so on. But the Society 5 looking into the artificial intelligence, in the sense that all those information in the cloud today, they bring much to the human, what they call humans, a physical space to analyze it. But now you're going to have artificial intelligence that analyze information. The big data on the cloud, they analyze it. You can see that they're trying to have, you can see the basics. You drive a car now, pilot assisted car. Yeah? They can get the direction, navigation. That is information they get from the cloud, and they analyze for you. They know where the road to take, where is the best road to take, where is the situation with the huge jam that you to avoid. Then they can calculate you the elements of the distance and time taken, and they even show you where are the space that you're going. Unfortunately, I have the car, we have all fully navigation, but they tell me where is the petrol station, how distant, but they don't tell me where is the nearest mosque that I could stop, how far the mosque from the destination, and whether the mosque is really full, which I can perform my Jumat prayer, or we can alternate mosque. They can analyze this in the sense of the road traffic jam. They can calculate, but because the elements of Islamic is not built into this software, that you can't do that. You just based on basically on physical without any human values in it. So these are the elements that we should put into. Just a simple example in this car, for example, yeah. And these are what it means. Of course, in order to analyze it, there must be data on the cloud that the information could be gathered, the software, and then analyzed back because of the, for example, able to analyze the road jam and so on and distance because the information is in the cloud. They analyze it and put back here. But if we don't have the information about the mosque, the situation in the mosque, the space in the mosque, direct information, the number of people prays and so on, then the information could not be analyzed. These are the areas where artificial intelligence that should be created by us in a sense. Okay. So any more questions at this stage? Any more questions? When I have a cup of water. Yes, but this, before we go a little bit further, any question?
Let me check in the chat box, Prof.
Sorry? No question.
If any person want to question, you can raise your hand.
Yeah. You can just pop him in and put your IDs on. Okay.
It's the miss in the chat box. They said the whole thing will be spoiled by politician.
Yes, the television. Excuse me. Yes, the television. Therefore, we need to introduce our own television. In a sense, now with the network of digital, what do you call digital? What do you call digital? They call it digital technology. That we able to create our own television, in a sense, through internet and so on to the people. Okay, at the remote area, for example, I remember when we are in earlier era in 1970s, we don't have television. We don't have television network, but somebody buy a television and they make a point that their house can accommodate neighbors surrounding to look at the television. Similarly, we could do if we have the internet, and some people don't have computers to do it. We could have a center of internet now, and then inviting people to look at to that our own television, internet television. Yeah, and also now we can see many what do you call information, propaganda through the internet, because television is now becoming obsolete in a sense. Is it? I myself do not look into the television. I'm looking into the internet for information and for analysis and for information, news and so on. Is it? Okay, anyway, that could be carried out. That's my view. So you look at this. The Society 5. Yes, look at the Society 5 advocated by Japanese. Yeah. They are trying to answer the surrounding 70 SDG, I mean, strategic development goal. They're using the internet, using the information. You can see tech, technology, to tech, and so on. All this tech technology, digital technology, they are pushing into answering this to overcome all this problem as being advocated by United Nations. Yeah. So this is a 17. Perhaps if we could have the middle here, Maqasid al-Syariah, our strategy that we're going to discuss later, that to answer not only the SD or SDG of this United Nations, but the overall Maqasid al-Syariah. See, it's very wide scope. It could start somewhere here. I mean, the outcome will continue. Okay. So these are the situation-wide Society 5 advocate by the Japanese industry and Japanese government together to achieve this SDG. Okay. So actually SDG basically is to solve the problem, for example, to what you call to change the society from 4.0 to 5.0, and to liberate certain element that providing, or rather that the society facing in Society 4. Society 4 is basically is a digital information society, as well as the what you call industrial society. So, for example, going to liberate from efficiency, liberation from suppression of individuality. You see, because of the situation, they suppress the individuality. Liberation from disparity, liberation from anxiety, liberation from resource, environmental constraint. So if you look at this liberation, basically is humans' need, all these things. It'll try to liberate it, the human problem or social problem, and bring it to this situation. You see? This is what it really meant, add values for problem solving and value creation, diversity, decentralization, meant to decentralize the control and so on, resilient, sustainability, environmental harmony. So this basically you can see they are specific, but the scope is limited to the, if you compare to Maqasid al-Syariah, the scope is much wider. That is why Maqasid al-Syariah meant of ultimate objective of Sharia, having value add into it, not only good in this world, but also hereafter. We talk of human values that we need very good life in this world as well as hereafter. Okay. So we look at again here. We can then all these are that are looking into the platform, a service platform. What they're going to do to create this. So what I call that integration of cyberspace and physical space. Okay, these are the giving example, standardization of interface of data and so on. There's so many areas technically that we need to create, and then having element of Sharia into this work process. That is what you call that an element where the opportunities for Muslim scientists, Muslim ITs, and so on. You can see that now. Just give an example when we introduce, we call that industrial, what do you call it, Islamic finance. There's so many areas, element in creating Islamic finance. The workforce, the works, the regulation, and so on, need expert on that field. Even today, we need to enhance the financial system of Islamic finance, and they need expertise in this field. During 5-10 years ago, I was given what do you call that information that Europe need 1 million expertise in Islamic finance. Yes, I do not know today. the last 5 years. Yeah. So we look at this here. All this thing is related to management, isn't it? All this management, Sharia, incorporated management, and going for management, Islamic management, incorporated Maqasid al-Syariah, which we have earlier discussed. You see, all this needs Maqasid al-Syariah, integrated with work process, and then as we have agreed that we have metrics of definition of Islamic management, incorporating the Maqasid al-Syariah as the ultimate objective. This is what is supposed to be that we should create about. And you can say one element, maybe one people example, how are we going to create this? How? Yes, we look back to this structure. We look at one of the element of strategic management. First is thinking. We think how to create it. Now we're thinking. Second is the organizing. How we get planning and organizing. Planning, we have Maqasid al-Syariah. Now we're organizing this element. Organizing, we must have a structure. The structure to organize, effective structure, following the existing rules and regulation. This is the structure which I've been compiling, the foundation in Turkey during the Ottoman Empire, how they developed. I'll give you a second here, for example. You see, during this Ottoman Empire, the Waqf activities during Ottoman Empire played a very important element in the development of society. For example, they're born in the Waqf houses. They slept in the Waqf beds. Yeah? They ate and drink in Waqf properties. They read Waqf books. They learn at Waqf institution. They get their salary from Waqf, and they die in the Waqf coffins and cemeteries. You see, the whole spectrum of humanity, social humanity, is being taken care of Waqf. And this Waqf even contribute 1/3 of government budget was from Waqf institution. Where is Waqf from? Is donation from the society, donation from the industry, and continue develop and accumulate and expanding, self-financing. They don't get from any on the government. Instead, they give the government budget for development. And this is what happened in the Ottoman Empire. Can we do it? Well, inshallah, we can do it. I will give you an example after this, how one country which I give excellent workforce to develop this, not only in Turkey, but in part of Asia. So the Waqf in Turkey focus on education. They have university, school, library. They focus on health centers, hospital, culture hall, the meeting place of the society. They have rural development. They have a spatial playground. What do you call that? Quality of life. They have children playground and so on. All this built by Waqf, built and maintained by Waqf, not built and maintained by society, built and maintained by Waqf. So this is what happened during Ottoman Empire. And we must realize that during the Ottoman Empire, the critical success factors is basically they are productive. They give the money grows, the money accumulates, and they're able to sustainable, and they are financially self-sufficient, this institution, and administratively self-sufficient. So they don't, if they have 10 million donated or 1 million donated, the money grows, and then they're able to sustain, not asking, but they're giving to people. This is important success factors. As I mentioned earlier, you can see here, institution Waqf here, they do the investment. The money generated from investment here, generate money back to the foundation, and the foundation give grant to the Waqf universities, school, and so on. And they give donation to building the mosques and so on here. And this continues. The money they give, it grows to investment, the investment here. And then the investment back to the foundation and go to this education and other donation. These are three important elements they do. But today, most of the Waqf institution, I don't know in other country, but even in my country, they are focusing here only. You see, they receive money and spend here, and here they can't spend it because there is here they cannot. They are unable to sustain because the universities and so on is they have to get more money with the student enrollment. They are not sufficient to generate enough money to sustain. They need some donation, but this is what happening because the source is only from public donation. You see, they depend on public donation, and they depend on not much here individual contribution, the founders. And this is what the problem. They keep on asking, you see, but not in other countries, in Turkey, during Ottoman Empire, they do investment here. They keep on growing. Excuse me. Any information? Any question? Excuse me for having a cup of drink. Okay, that's important. The institution of Waqf is very important. Institution, if not Waqf, is foundation. Even in Malaysia itself, it's not really sustainable in that sense because the lack of this element investment to generate their own fund. They are still asking money for the public to maintain this. Okay. When you look at, is it possible? I put example of Indonesia, which is Muhammadiyah. I'm sure they are participants in this courses. I'm very impressed with the Muhammadiyah institution or foundation based on Waqf. They don't really asking money from the government. They started in 1920s, and then, if I'm not mistaken, a few people get together, they walk off the piece of land, a paddy plant, a paddy field, and then they grow. Until they grow, they have back here. This is what happened today. They have 25,000 institutions, 173 universities, but now I think more than that. These figures were just 3-5 years ago. You see, now they have even 100 over university with over 30 million alumni. They have over 10,000 schools. You can see the school here. The number of schools from junior, senior, high school. And they have boarding school. They have vocational school here. And they have elementary school. And they go back, they had even, They even have childcare, open house, you see, the list down there. Child education, 15,000, kindergarten, 15,000, you see. And their infrastructure, I have visited some of the infrastructure. I'm very impressed for their cleanliness, infrastructure. You can look at this infrastructure, just 2 universities. There are many other universities. The universities are very good. I consider it's high-class university with infrastructure. Okay. They're able to do it. And now at the moment, this figure is from I got it from the lectures given during one of our seminars. They have 30, now the asset is about $22 billion US. And then keep growing. They have 320 trillion rupiah, and they're going to build one university in Malaysia, in Northern State. They come here without any asking for money. They get from the investment, they want to do it. So what I'm trying to say is the infrastructure. I'm very impressive in their infrastructure, in their self-financing, in their management of infrastructure. I'm not talking about the content of their courses. They have over 2,000 courses. You see, I'm talking about how they do it. Of course, the content could be improved better. They have done good in that sense. What we have to do is to improve, enhance the content so that you're able to compete at a higher international level. Yeah. You can see this. I'm very impressive on that. You can see that even now they are very sensitive to the development of digital economy, in a sense that with the cyberspace, they have created a university, cyber Muhammadiyah. You see here, you don't have a bigger space in terms of what do you call that, cyber space, cyber university, but they can correlate with other universities, not even with the Muhammadiyah university they have, but also with other university overseas. Oh, you can see the flexible campus, they call it. Merdeka means flexible campus. You can study at home. You can do research at home. Whatever is the degree is being coordinated by their universities, various universities, their autonomy and flexibility. They're using cyberspace. They're using online. They open, open university. They are private. They are not in government university. You see, they are very sensitive. I really impressed with their sensitivity over the changes of COVID-19, because many universities still lacking of changing to online and hybrid courses, but they are doing now fully online and hybrid courses, you see, and multiple entry, multiple exit. You can multiple entry anytime. You can study anywhere, anytime, and the low cost of higher education, a lower cost. You see, this we have to give a credit to this Muhammadiyah University in terms of their infrastructure, in terms of their self-financing, self-administration, in terms of the develop it to what now going for overseas to Malaysia. Even the school, it could be going online to university, to even to done other country in South Africa, or even in Africa, or even in a Southeast Asian country like Cambodia, Vietnam, and so on, by just online. Investment online, the lectures could be done from here. Yeah. And also other thing, this is Muhammadiyah institution, which I'm very impressive in terms of their restructure and their self-reliant as what it is we have mentioned here. You see, they go for education, they go for social donation, they go for investment. They have hospital, you see, you can see they have hospital also. Very hospital here, the kindergarten center, hospitality, medical. They have, I understand that they have hospital, ship hospital, you see? Because they have many islands. I think 4 or 5 hospitals. They can move around to island. You can see the 461 hospital and childcare, clinic and so on. I visited the hospital. The hospital is really good in a sense. Yeah. So that is what structure could be done. Okay. Another impressive work by I give an example here. I mean, nothing is, people always say, even in Malaysia, it's very difficult to do this thing. But they do it consistently and successful in terms of development infrastructure. And look at this. For example, what call it, Rumah Fiqh Indonesia. I'm talking about digital now because digital economy. So that they provide this free book ebook, is it, to everybody. You can download it, is it? But unfortunately, in Malay, if they could translate in English, it could be worldwide. See, because it is in Malay, in Malay, because the population is bigger, you see, there are over 360 book free, all subject matters, you see. Sorry, all the subject matters. This is part of the book which I just show you can go into the internet. And not only that, they have lectures recorded in the YouTube. I mean, for each lectures, they're recorded, well recorded. I see that well being recorded with the slide and so on. These lectures could be just duplicated and then do it to other country. Because why? Why this is other countries means English spoken country. Sorry, Malay spoken country like Cambodian Muslim, Vietnam Malay Muslim, South Thailand Muslim. They just look at it. They're very in terms of infrastructure of delivering through the digital platform, you see, that we should follow. The only thing that we should put into it, enhance it, or add values to it first to translate to English, and then more books on integration of knowledge, like some Islamic economy, integration, application, and so on. That should be the next step, you see. So, brothers and sisters, so we can see that good example. I've seen, I don't see any, yeah, I see in Malaysia, but I don't see there are so much integrated work like this, yeah? The successful in terms of publishing free of knowledge, and also lectures. You can look into the, I don't have the, you go to the web, you can click onto the lectures. They have so many videos, lectures on each subject, you see, by their professors and lecturers, and all in Malay. But I wish that one day we could translate that in English. All this book be translated in English to other countries. It's easy to translate in this book to English and other countries. You use Google to do it. You see, you just take it out and click into it, and you can see all been translated in English, and you can edit it to make it better. You can translate to African language, you see, if you want it. You see, these are jobs of us to do, to enhance it. And we can use this subject to integrate with other subjects, other Islamic subjects, other work process, yeah, so to develop it more further. So, brothers and sisters, we can look at this. Basic is management. You see just now, planning, relating into thinking, planning, Maqasid al-Syariah. We have to focus, because when we talk Maqasid al-Syariah, we do not be too apologetic. We must be proud that we Islam and use Islam. For example, Islamic banking, we cannot say Islamic, what do you call it, friendly, riba friendly. No, Islamic banking, Islamic kafir, Islamic insurance, Islamic bond, Islamic food, Islamic tourism, Islamic planning, Islamic strategy, Islamic human development. We must be proud, and not to say we are not too defensive. I say, we must talk of Islamic management. We show it Islamic management. What is Islamic management? And about this, lastly, you can see we must be ahead. They are talking about society 5.0, smart super society. What we're thinking, what I'm thinking, this is just my thinking. We should develop Islamic, humanistic, sustainable society. Sustainable society, reach the level top, making use of all the digital infrastructures, technologies, and so on. But it has to be humanistic, add values to it. The 5 set of Maqasid al-Syariah, strategy of socio-economic equilibrium. If you look at what happened today, is there's economic, there's no social obligation problem, society 5, Japanese indicated that the system today has failed to achieve the social need of the human being, the values, and so on. So these are, we should be creating into a sustainable Islamic humanistic society. So that is what I am advocating. Perhaps your views into this is highly appreciated to refine this further. Okay, brothers and sisters, now we have coming to 12 o'clock, I think. Nearly 1.
Nearly to 1 already.
Yeah.
We have already passed the time, mashallah.
So now we end. So the future, we are talking about, with your input, we are talking about Islamic humanistic system of society. How we're going to create this to the future. We have to start somewhere. Society 5 start 2015. You see, so we are the ones who changes. We don't wait for the government to do it. These Japanese, they don't wait for the government to do it. They are the industrial, the people want it. Yeah. So this is how it goes. Okay, brothers and sisters, thank you for listening to my lectures and hope it is useful.
Mashallah, it's really interesting. Doctor, there is many questions. I think because there is the hand, but then because we have passed the time, is it okay to get one question?
Yeah, well, two questions would be enough, and the rest of the question, if you could send to me, so that I will be able to answer the question in next lectures.
Yeah, yes. Inshallah. Here, there is a comment from Nawawi Muhammad. Yeah. Very eyes opening of the Waqaf system of Muhammadiyah group. He said, and from Nawawi also he said, all of us have a hard responsibility to the Islamic world.
Yes.
Thank you, Prof. Saya, such inspiring speech. Inspiring speech. Okay, there is a raising hand. I will allow him to ask.
Yes.
Abdulhamid bin Abdullah.
Yes.
You can unmute yourself.
Assalamualaikum, Prof.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Please. My comment about the SDGs and the Society 5 of Japan.
Yes.
I think there is something lacking in the conception of society.
Yes.
Because they limit the human dimension only to the physical.
Yes, that's right.
So they forget that the human being is composed of 3 elements.
Yes.
The akal, the brain,
yes,
and the heart, the soul, the spirit, the ruh.
Yes.
The spiritual dimension. They only talk about the physical, the bodily organs.
Yes, that's right.
According to my understanding of things, even I'll go admit that the root cause of our problem, he was talking about ecological crisis or environmental crisis.
Yes.
He even admit that the root cause is the spiritual crisis.
Yes.
This is not being emphasized in all the program because you see, Western science, Western philosophy has limited reality only to the physical and the material.
Yes.
What cannot be observed empirically doesn't exist. So we even in our dialogue and discourse, even though we in our heart we know this is not the only thing, but we tend to be trapped by their limited conception of reality. In the Islamic worldview, the 3 components must be there, especially when you talk about human being, the 3 dimensions, the 3 components of the human person. So this is lacking. I don't know whether you can somehow later in the next lecture you emphasize a little bit.
Yes, and thank you for pointing that point.
This problem of conception is due to the so-called supposition of Western philosophy.
Yes. When we what do you call in our first lectures that the reason behind what is happening today is because of the secularism advocated by George Hollywood. 1851. He is editors of one of newspaper in Britain, and in 1851 he advocated secularism. He coined secularism, and that is why whatever we're doing today, nothing to do with God. That is what happening today. So whatever development, in a sense, as you rightly say, in the from the industrial society and technology industry, information society, they don't put the human elements into the development. Human development, I'm to say what you rightly say, as is Islamic way of values, that is, they have physical, what do you call it, mind, bodies, and soul. You see, as we advocated in our strategy, now in the developments of future development, it should be based on Maqasid al-Syariah. Maqasid al-Syariah is basically the ultimate objective of Sharia. Sharia, you know, as we defined in our first lectures, Sharia is basically a way of life as commanded by Allah with the base, the Quran and Sunnah. And the way of life consisting of aqidah, which is faith, akhlaq, which is characters, and all the rules and regulations as specified in the Quran and Sunnah, which include fiqh muamalat, fiqh munakahat, fiqh siyasah, fiqh ibadah, fiqh all those regulations of human life. So this comprehensive of regulation with the objective of protection, way of life, a deen. Deen, Allah mentioned deen. Deen means way of life of human being is being accepted. That is protect the Maqasid al-Syariah objective. First is protection of human life, meant to human religion, deen, which consists of mind, bodies, and soul. And further is protections of life. And then third is protection of intellect, knowledge. Fourth, protection of offspring. And last is protection of environment and wealth. That is 5 set of Maqasid al-Syariah objective as being structured by Imam Shafi'i in year 1111 or 8504, and it is being today. It's only because today is not being applied to strategic management because, due respect, it's been discussed with the elements of in the area of fiqh, laws, and then Islamic jurisdiction, where it has not been discussed into the implementation of the development. So that is why, at the end of it, this is the end of the situation that we have to create. We shouldn't be apologetic. We have to create Islamic, humanistic, sustainable society. Islamic, what Islamic here? 5 set of Maqasid al-Syariah strategy of socio-economic equilibrium. Why we talk social? In the element of humanity. Humanity means faith. What do you call that? As rightly mentioned by our brother Abdullah just now, that mind, body, and soul. Economic is all economics. So we will discuss this in detail next lectures, how that we're going to do, and taking emphasis the point brought by Brother Abdullah. Yes, and some of the question we put forward to me by IIIT, I will try to figure it out how best, and we discuss in the next lectures. Okay.
Thank you very much, Doctor. And
Thank you.
inshallah, we will meet you again in the next session and lesson share, inshallah. And mashallah, regarding the knowledge today is really interesting. Mashallah. I know there is many students have the question, but we cannot answer because of the time is limit. Inshallah, we will meet again and have the question in the next session, inshallah. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And have a good weekend, Doctor.
Thank you, and everybody have a salama. Wa'assalama ila liqa ghadan, inshallah.
Inshallah. Wabillahi taufiq walhidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you all.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.